Your English is not stuck because you are weak. It is stuck because your brain has built a wall between what you understand and what you can speak. You know the words, but they disappear when someone talks to you. You understand English, but your mouth freezes. You study again and again, but still translate, still hesitate, still wait for perfect sentences. If this feels like your story, don't stay silent. Comment, "I will break the barrier" below, because the moment you admit your English is stuck is the moment you start taking it back. Before we go deep, subscribe right now to English Mindset Academy, because this book will show you the hidden reason your English is trapped and how to break that barrier from inside your mind. This is Break the English Barrier, the hidden reason your English is still stuck, published by English Mindset Academy. Chapter 1, The Real Reason Your English is Still Stuck. Most English learners believe their English is stuck because they do not know enough words, but the truth is that vocabulary is rarely the real wall, because many learners already know thousands of English words. They can understand videos, read posts, recognize grammar, follow conversations, and even explain English rules in their own language. Yet when the moment comes to speak, their mind becomes slow, their mouth becomes heavy, and the English they thought they knew suddenly feels locked behind a door they cannot open. The real reason your English is still stuck is not that you have learned too little, but that you have trained the wrong part of your mind for too long, because understanding English and speaking English are two different skills. And if you only train your brain to receive English through listening, reading, watching, and memorizing, then your brain becomes good at recognizing English, but it does not become strong at producing English under pressure. And this is why you may understand an entire English sentence when someone else speaks it, but when you try to create your own sentence, everything feels slow, confusing, and uncomfortable. For years, many learners treat English like a school subject instead of a living language, so they sit with notebooks, grammar rules, vocabulary lists, translations, and exercises, believing that one day all this knowledge will automatically turn into fluent speaking. But speaking does not begin automatically just because you have collected information, because speaking needs emotional safety, mental speed, pronunciation practice, sentence patterns, response habits, and the courage to use imperfect English before perfect English ever arrives. This is where the hidden barrier begins, because your brain may know English, but it does not yet trust English, and when your brain does not trust English, it tries to protect you from embarrassment by slowing everything down, checking every word, translating every thought, searching for perfect grammar, and warning you that people may judge you if you make a mistake. So instead of speaking naturally, your mind begins to act like a strict examiner, and the more it checks, the more your confidence disappears. You must understand this deeply. Fluency is not the ability to know English silently. Fluency is the ability to use English while your mind is active, your emotions are present, and another person is waiting for your answer, because real speaking happens in real time, not in the peaceful silence of your bedroom, not inside a grammar book, not while watching a video with subtitles, but in the moment when you need to answer, explain, ask, respond, describe, and express yourself without stopping every few seconds to translate and correct yourself. That is why some learners study English for 5 years and still cannot speak confidently, while another learner with fewer words begins speaking faster, because the second learner is not waiting to become perfect before speaking. They are training their speaking muscle every day. They are building connection between thought and English. They are allowing small mistakes. They are repeating useful sentences. They are speaking out loud. They are teaching their brain that English is not a danger, and slowly their mind begins to open the path from understanding to expression. Your English becomes stuck when your brain stores English as knowledge but does not practice English as action, because knowledge stays inside the mind, but speaking requires movement, rhythm, sound, confidence, and repetition, and until you train English as an active habit, your words will remain trapped like books locked inside a library where no one has learned how to open the door. The first barrier you must break is the belief that you need more and more before you can start, because this belief keeps millions of learners waiting forever, waiting for more vocabulary, more grammar, more confidence, more time, more courses, and more preparation. But the truth is that confidence does not come before speaking, confidence comes after repeated speaking, and fluency does not appear before action. Fluency is created through action. You do not become fluent by waiting until fear disappears. You become fluent by speaking while fear is still there and teaching your brain that nothing terrible happens when your English is not perfect, because every time you speak even one sentence out loud, your brain receives a new message. English can move, English can be used, English does not have to stay trapped, and slowly the invisible wall begins to lose its power. Many learners are not lazy, they are simply trapped in the wrong training system because they spend hours consuming English but very little time producing English. They watch lessons but do not answer questions out loud. They memorize words but do not build sentences with them. They learn grammar but do not use it in real speech. They understand conversations but do not practice responding. And this creates a dangerous gap between passive English and active English. Passive English means the English you can understand when someone else creates it, while active English means the English you can create yourself when you need to speak. And the painful truth is that most learners have much more passive English than active English, which means they are not empty, they are not beginners, they are not failures, they simply have English trapped inside them that has not been trained to come out. This is why you may feel confused about your level, because sometimes you feel advanced when you understand a video, but you feel beginner again when you try to speak, and this difference makes you doubt yourself. But you should not see it as failure, because it only means your listening and understanding are stronger than your speaking system, and the solution is not to hate yourself or restart from zero, but to begin training the missing bridge between your thoughts and your mouth. The hidden reason your English is stuck is that your brain has built a safety wall around speaking, and that wall is made from fear of mistakes, habit of translation, pressure of perfection, lack of speaking repetition, and years of learning English quietly instead of using English actively. But the powerful truth is that any wall built by habit can be broken by a stronger habit, and this book is not here to shame you for where you are. It is here to show you how to move from silent understanding to confident speaking. From today, stop saying, "I know English, but I cannot speak," and start saying, "My English is inside me, and now I am training it to come out." Because the words you use about yourself become instructions to your mind, and if you keep telling your brain that you cannot speak, it will keep protecting you with silence. But if you begin telling your brain that speaking is a skill you are training, then every small practice becomes proof that the barrier is not permanent. This chapter is the beginning of your reset, because now you know that your English is not stuck because you are weak, unintelligent, or incapable, but because your learning has been focused too much on storage and not enough on expression, too much on correctness and not enough on communication, too much on silent understanding and not enough on spoken action. Once you understand this, you stop blaming yourself and start changing your method, because the goal is not to become a perfect English machine. The goal is to become a confident human being who can use English naturally, make small mistakes without fear, correct yourself without shame, and keep speaking until the words that once felt locked begin to flow with more ease, more speed, and more confidence. The barrier is real, but it is not stronger than training. The fear is real, but it is not stronger than repetition. The hesitation is real, but it is not stronger than daily speaking practice. And once your brain learns that English is not something to fear but something to use, the wall begins to crack, the silence begins to break, and the English that was trapped inside you begins to move toward your voice. Chapter 2: Why Translation is Silently Destroying Your Fluency. One of the biggest reasons your English feels slow, heavy, and stuck is not because you do not know English, but because your brain is still using translation as the main road to speaking, and translation may look helpful in the beginning, but after some time it quietly becomes the wall that stops your English from becoming natural. Because every time you translate before speaking, you are not really speaking English directly. You are first building the sentence in your native language, then trying to carry that sentence into English, then checking grammar, then choosing words, then worrying about pronunciation, and by the time your mouth is ready, the moment has already passed and your confidence has already fallen. Translation is like walking with a heavy bag on your back while everyone else is moving freely, because your brain has to work twice as hard just to say one simple idea. And this is why you may know the answer in your mind but still stay silent, because the answer is not coming through a direct English path, it is passing through a long mental tunnel where your native language, grammar rules, fear of mistakes, and pressure to sound perfect are all standing in the way. At first, translation feels safe because it gives you control, and when you are a beginner, translating words can help you understand meaning, but the problem begins when translation becomes your permanent speaking habit, because your brain starts believing that English cannot exist without your native language, and this creates a dangerous dependency where every English sentence must first ask permission from your old thinking system before it can come out of your mouth. This is why many learners say, I can understand English, but I cannot speak fast, because understanding is not always going through translation, especially when you listen to common words and familiar sentences, but speaking often still depends on translation, and when speaking depends on translation, your response becomes slow, your confidence becomes weak, and your English feels like something you are constructing piece by piece instead of something flowing naturally from your mind. Natural speakers do not speak by translating every word. They speak by connecting meaning directly to expression, because when they want to say something, they do not stop and build the sentence like a machine. They feel the idea, choose a familiar pattern, and release the words almost automatically. And this is the system your brain also needs to build, not by memorizing more rules, but by repeating English patterns until your mind begins to trust them without needing translation. The hidden damage of translation is that it makes you think English is difficult even when the sentence is simple, because a simple idea like "I was busy yesterday" can become complicated if your brain first creates it in another language, searches for the English equivalent of every word, checks the tense, checks the order, worries about mistakes, and then tries to speak it while someone is waiting, and under pressure, even easy English begins to feel like a test. This is why translation does not only slow your English, it also increases your fear, because the longer your brain takes to prepare a sentence, the more time fear has to enter, and during that delay, your inner voice begins to say, what if I say it wrong? What if they laugh? What if my grammar is bad? What if I forget the word? And suddenly the real enemy is no longer English, but the pressure created by the translation process itself. Many learners believe they need to translate because they do not have enough vocabulary, but in reality, translation often prevents the vocabulary they already know from becoming active, because when your brain is always searching for exact words from your native language, it ignores the simple English words you could use easily, and instead of saying something simple and clear, you wait for a perfect word that may never come, so silence wins again. A powerful English speaker is not someone who always uses difficult words. A powerful English speaker is someone who can express ideas clearly with the words they already have, and this is why breaking the translation habit is so important, because fluency does not begin when you know every word in English. Fluency begins when you stop needing your native language to approve every sentence before you speak. Imagine two learners with the same vocabulary. The first learner translates every sentence before speaking, while the second learner practices thinking in simple English every day. After 6 months, the second learner will sound more fluent, not because they know more words, but because their brain has built a faster road between thought and speech, while the first learner is still stuck at the translation gate, waiting for every idea to be converted, corrected, and approved before it can become spoken English. This is the truth many learners do not want to hear. Translation keeps you comfortable, but comfort does not create fluency, because fluency grows when your brain is forced to connect English directly with life, directly with feelings, directly with images, directly with actions, directly with questions, directly with answers, and directly with the small moments of your day, instead of always passing through another language first. If you see a glass of water and your brain first says the word in your native language, then translates it into English, your English will remain slow, but if your brain sees the object and directly says water, then sees the action and directly says I am drinking water, then sees the situation and directly says I need water because I am thirsty, you are training a direct English connection, and that direct connection is the beginning of natural speaking. This is why you must stop treating English as a translated version of your native language, because English has its own rhythm, its own sentence patterns, its own common expressions, its own way of saying things, and if you keep forcing your native language structure into English, your sentences will feel unnatural, heavy, and confusing, even if the words are technically correct. For example, many learners translate word by word and then wonder why their English sounds strange, but the problem is not their intelligence. The problem is that languages do not always match perfectly, because one language may express an idea in one order while English expresses it in another, and one language may use a long emotional phrase while English may use a short natural sentence. So when you translate directly, you are not learning English flow, you are carrying old sentence habits into a new language. To break the English barrier, you must begin creating English from meaning, not from translation, and this means when you want to speak, you should ask yourself, what is the simple meaning I want to express, not what is the exact English of this sentence in my language. Because the first question opens the door to communication, while the second question traps you inside word-for-word thinking. If your idea is complicated, make it simple first. If your sentence is long in your native language, break it into smaller English sentences. If you do not know one word, use another word. If you cannot say it perfectly, say it clearly. If you cannot sound advanced, sound honest. This is how real speaking grows, because communication is not about showing perfect English. Communication is about moving meaning from your mind to another person's mind. The translation habit also makes learners addicted to perfection, because they are always comparing two languages in their mind, and when the English sentence does not feel exactly like the native language sentence, they feel it is wrong. But natural English does not need to be a perfect copy of your original thought. It only needs to carry the meaning clearly, and once you accept this, your speaking becomes lighter, faster, and more confident. You must give yourself permission to use simple English, because simple English is not weak English. Simple English is the foundation of fluent English. Native speakers use simple words every day. Professional speakers use simple words to explain big ideas. Confident speakers do not always speak in complicated sentences, they speak in clear sentences. If your goal is to speak naturally, then clarity is more important than complexity, and speed is more important than silent perfection. One reason your English feels blocked is because you are trying to translate your full personality all at once, and that is too much pressure for the brain because your thoughts in your native language are fast, emotional, detailed, and deeply connected to your identity, while your English speaking system may still be developing. So when you try to express every detail perfectly, your mind becomes overloaded and your mouth stops. The solution is not to hate your native language, because your native language is beautiful and powerful, but while speaking English, you must stop using it as a crutch, because a crutch helps when you are injured, but if you keep using it forever, your speaking muscles never become strong. And English must become a muscle you train directly, not a translation exercise you complete silently inside your mind. Start with your daily life, because daily life is the easiest place to break translation. When you wake up, say in your mind, I am waking up. When you drink tea, say, I am drinking tea. When you open your phone, say, I am checking my messages. When you feel tired, say, I feel tired today. When you are going outside, say, I am going out. These sentences may look simple, but they are powerful because they teach your brain to connect English directly with action. Do not underestimate small English, because small English repeated daily becomes automatic English, and automatic English becomes fluent English because your brain does not become natural through one big lesson. It becomes natural through many small connections repeated until they no longer require effort. You can also train your brain by using English labels for the world around you. When you see a door, think door. When you see a window, think window. When you see a car, think car. When you feel hungry, think I am hungry. When you need rest, think I need rest. When you are busy, think I am busy. This is not childish practice, this is mental rewiring, because you are teaching your brain that English can connect directly to reality without translation standing in the middle. The next step is to create small spoken answers. Ask yourself simple questions and answer out loud. What am I doing? I am learning English. Why am I learning English? Because I want to speak confidently. What is my problem? I translate too much. What will I do now? I will practice simple English every day. This kind of practice builds the bridge from thought to voice, and that bridge is exactly what translation has been blocking. At the beginning, your brain will try to return to translation because it is familiar, and every old habit feels easier than a new habit. But you must not become discouraged because the goal is not to remove translation in one day. The goal is to reduce it step by step until English begins to appear faster, lighter, and more naturally in your mind. When you speak, do not wait for the full sentence to become perfect before you begin. Start with a simple opening and continue from there. Instead of waiting to create a perfect long sentence, say, "I think," then add your idea. Say, "In my opinion," then continue. Say, "The reason is," then explain. Say, "What I mean is," then clarify. These small sentence starters are powerful because they give your brain a beginning, and once speaking begins, confidence often follows. Translation also weakens listening confidence because when you listen and translate every word, you become tired quickly, and if you miss one word, your mind panics. But real understanding does not require catching every word. It requires catching meaning, tone, context, and the main idea, so the more you train your brain to understand English directly, the more relaxed you become when listening, and the more natural you become when speaking. This is why your listening practice should not always be about translating subtitles into your language, because if every English sentence is immediately turned into another language, your brain never learns to stay inside English long enough to feel it, and feeling English is important because fluent speaking is not only logic, it is rhythm, memory, emotion, sound, and familiarity. A sentence you repeat many times becomes yours. A phrase you use in real life becomes yours. A question you answer out loud becomes yours. A word connected to an action becomes yours. But a word only translated on paper often stays weak because it has no life, no movement, and no connection to real speaking. This is the golden rule. Whatever you want to speak naturally, you must practice without translation. If you want to talk about your day, practice describing your day in simple English. If you want to speak in interviews, practice interview answers in English. If you want to talk with friends, practice common friend conversations. If you want to explain your opinion, practice opinion sentences. Your brain becomes fluent in the situations you train, not in the sentences you only memorize. Many learners make the mistake of learning random vocabulary but not building usable speaking patterns, and then they wonder why they cannot speak, but speaking is not made from isolated words. Speaking is made from patterns like I want to, I need to, I used to, I'm trying to, I feel like, I don't know how to, can you help me with, the problem is, the best thing is, and when these patterns become automatic, your English becomes faster because you are no longer creating every sentence from zero. Translation makes every sentence feel new, but patterns make English feel familiar. Translation says, build this sentence from the beginning. Patterns say, use this ready road and add your idea. This is why fluent speakers sound fast. They are not inventing every sentence. They are using thousands of familiar patterns stored in the speaking part of the brain. To escape translation, you must collect patterns, not just words. Do not only memorize the word confidence. Learn sentences like, I want to speak with confidence, I lose confidence when I make mistakes, my confidence is growing slowly, and confidence comes from practice. Now the word is alive because it can move inside sentences, and when a word can move, you can use it in speech. You must also stop punishing yourself for simple mistakes because fear of mistakes pushes the brain back into translation, and translation promises safety but gives you silence. When you allow mistakes, your brain relaxes. When your brain relaxes, English comes faster. When English comes faster, you practice more. When you practice more, your mistakes reduce naturally. This is the real path. Not perfection first, but freedom first. Some learners say, but if I stop translating, I will make mistakes. And the answer is yes. At first, you may make mistakes, but those mistakes are not proof that you are failing. They are proof that your English is finally moving. A locked door makes no noise, but a door opening may creak. In the same way, silent English looks clean, but spoken English grows through movement, correction, repetition, and courage. The learner who translates may look careful, but the learner who speaks grows faster, because spoken mistakes can be improved, but silent perfection cannot become fluency. You cannot correct a sentence you never said. You cannot improve a voice you never used. You cannot build confidence by hiding. You must let English come out, even when it is small, even when it is imperfect, even when your voice shakes, because that is how the barrier begins to break. From today, do not ask, how do I translate this? Ask, how can I say this simply in English? This one question can change your entire speaking journey because it moves your brain from translation mode to communication mode, and communication mode is where fluency begins. If you do not know how to say, "I am extremely overwhelmed by everything happening in my life," then say, "I feel very stressed." If you do not know how to say, "I am unable to manage my schedule properly," then say, "I cannot manage my time well." If you do not know how to say, "My confidence disappears in public situations," then say, "I feel nervous when I speak in public." Simple English keeps the conversation alive, while waiting for perfect English kills the moment. This does not mean you should never learn better words or stronger expressions, because advanced English has value, but advanced English must grow on top of natural English, not replace it, because if your simple English is not automatic, your advanced English will become another burden, and you will keep collecting impressive words that never come out when you need them. The goal is to make English direct. Direct from image to word. Direct from feeling to sentence. Direct from question to answer. Direct from thought to voice. Direct from life to language. The more direct your English becomes, the less translation controls you, and the less translation controls you, the more fluency begins to feel possible. Breaking the translation habit is not only a language change, it is an identity change, because you stop seeing yourself as someone who borrows English through another language, and you begin seeing yourself as someone who can create English from inside your own mind, even if the English is simple at first, even if it grows slowly, even if it takes patience. Every day you practice English directly, you weaken the old road of translation and strengthen the new road of natural speaking. And at first, the old road will still feel easier because it has been used for years. But if you keep walking the new road, it becomes stronger, smoother, and faster, until one day you notice that a sentence came out without translation, and that small moment will feel like a door opening inside your mind. That moment is powerful because it proves that your English is not permanently stuck. It proves that your brain can change. It proves that fluency is not a gift only for special people. It proves that when you train correctly, your mind can stop carrying English through translation and start releasing English naturally. So remember this: translation is not your enemy when you are learning meaning, but it becomes your barrier when you want to speak fluently. Use translation as a small bridge in the beginning, but do not build your house on that bridge. Cross it, learn from it, and then step into English directly, because the speaker you want to become is waiting on the other side. The more you stop translating, the more your English will breathe. The more your English breathes, the more your confidence will grow. The more your confidence grows, the more your voice will open. And once your voice opens, you will realize that English was never missing from your mind. It was only trapped behind a habit that you now have the power to break. Chapter 3. The fear that locks your English inside your mind. The deepest barrier in your English journey is not always vocabulary, grammar, pronunciation, or translation, because sometimes the real prison is fear, and this fear does not always look loud, dramatic, or obvious. Sometimes it hides quietly inside your chest every time someone asks you a simple question in English. Sometimes it appears as a sudden blank mind. Sometimes it becomes a tight throat. Sometimes it becomes a nervous smile. And sometimes it becomes the painful sentence you tell yourself again and again: "I know English, but I cannot speak." Fear is powerful because it does not only stop your mouth, it changes the way your brain works. And when fear enters your speaking moment, your mind stops thinking like a learner and starts behaving like a person in danger, because the brain does not know the difference between a real physical threat and the emotional threat of embarrassment, judgment, criticism, or public failure. So when someone waits for your English answer, your brain may react as if you are standing in front of danger, not in front of a normal conversation. This is why you can understand English calmly when you are alone, but freeze when another person is listening, because alone there is no pressure, no judgment, no eyes on you, no fear of being corrected, and no feeling that your intelligence is being measured by one sentence. But in front of people, your brain suddenly feels exposed, and instead of helping you speak, it tries to protect you from shame by making you silent. Many learners think silence is proof that they do not know English, but very often silence is only proof that fear has taken control of the speaking system, because the words are somewhere inside you, the meaning is somewhere inside you, the answer is somewhere inside you, but fear blocks the road between thought and voice, and the more important the situation feels, the stronger the block becomes. You may have experienced this many times. Someone asks you something in English, and for a few seconds you know what you want to say, but then your mind begins to check check everything too quickly, asking whether the grammar is right, whether the pronunciation will sound strange, whether the sentence is too simple, whether the other person will notice your mistake, whether your accent will make you look less educated, and before you even speak, the moment becomes heavy enough to crush your confidence. This is not because you are weak, this is because fear turns speaking into performance, and when speaking becomes performance, your mind forgets that language is supposed to be communication. You stop focusing on meaning and start focusing on image. You stop thinking, what do I want to say? And start thinking, how will I look if I say it wrong? That shift is dangerous because fluency needs freedom, but fear creates self-monitoring, and when you monitor every word too much, your natural flow disappears. A confident English speaker does not speak because they never make mistakes, they speak because they are not controlled by the fear of mistakes. This is the difference you must understand. Many learners are waiting for perfect English before they allow themselves to speak confidently, but confident speakers often become confident because they spoke before they were perfect, and through speaking they trained their brain to survive mistakes, recover from pauses, correct sentences, and continue the conversation without emotional collapse. Fear makes you believe that one mistake can destroy your image, but in real life, most people do not remember your mistakes as much as you do because your own mind replays your errors with more cruelty than other people ever will. You may say one wrong word and think about it for hours, but the person listening may forget it within seconds because they were focused on the meaning, not on judging your entire personality through one grammar mistake. This is one of the hidden reasons learners suffer more than they need to. They believe every English sentence is a test of their intelligence, but English speaking is not an intelligence test. It is a communication skill, and communication skills grow through use, not through hiding. If you treat every conversation like an exam, your heart will race, your brain will tighten, and your English will feel smaller than it actually is. The fear of judgment becomes even stronger when learners compare themselves to fluent speakers, native speakers, or people who speak with confidence, and comparison creates a painful illusion because you compare your nervous beginning with someone else's practiced confidence. You compare your first spoken attempts with someone else's years of exposure, and then you decide that you are not good enough, when in reality you are only watching the result of their practice while hiding from your own. Every fluent speaker has spoken imperfectly before. Every confident speaker has made mistakes before. Every strong speaker has had moments of confusion, pauses, wrong words, bad pronunciation, and awkward sentences, but the difference is that they kept using the language until their brains stopped treating those moments as danger. Fluency is not created by avoiding embarrassment forever. Fluency is created by becoming strong enough that embarrassment no longer controls your mouth. Your fear may have started years ago in school, in a classroom, in front of classmates, or around people who laughed when someone made a mistake, and if you were ever corrected harshly, mocked, ignored, or made to feel small because of your English, your brain may have saved that moment as a warning. Then later, even when no one is laughing, your brain still remembers the danger and tries to protect you by keeping you silent. This is why some learners do not only need English practice, they need emotional retraining. They need to teach the brain that speaking English is safe now. They need to separate present conversations from past embarrassment. They need to stop letting old voices control new opportunities. They need to understand that the person who laughed at their mistake did not define their future fluency. And the fear that started in one moment does not deserve to rule their entire language journey. Fear also creates perfection pressure, and perfection pressure is one of the greatest enemies of spoken English, because spoken language is alive, fast, and human. Even native speakers pause, repeat, change sentences, forget words, and correct themselves while speaking. Real speech is not as perfect as textbook sentences. Real speech is full of small adjustments, but learners often hold themselves to an impossible standard, expecting every sentence to come out like a written paragraph, and when it does not, they feel like failures. This is unfair to your brain. Your brain cannot become natural if you punish it every time it tries. Imagine a child learning to walk, and every time the child falls, someone says, "You are terrible at walking." The child would become afraid to stand. Many learners do the same thing to their English. Every time their sentence is imperfect, they attack themselves, and then they wonder why their brain feels afraid to speak again. To break the English barrier, you must change your relationship with mistakes, because mistakes are not proof that you are not fluent. Mistakes are the raw material from which fluency is built. A mistake shows that your English has moved from silent knowledge into real use, and once English is in real use, it can be improved, shaped, corrected, strengthened, and made natural. But English that remains silent inside your mind cannot grow into speaking power. You must stop seeing mistakes as shame and start seeing them as signals. A grammar mistake signals what needs repetition. A pronunciation mistake signals what needs sound training. A missing word signals what vocabulary needs to become active. A pause signals where your speaking speed needs practice. A confused sentence signals where you need stronger patterns. Every mistake is information, not humiliation. The problem is not mistakes. The problem is emotional punishment after mistakes. If you say one wrong sentence and then spend the whole day calling yourself bad at English, you are not learning from the mistake, you are building fear around it. But if you say, good, now I know what to practice, your brain stays open, and an open brain learns faster than a brain drowning in shame. This is why emotional safety is a hidden part of fluency. When your mind feels safe, your English becomes more available. When your mind feels attacked, your English hides. If you want to speak better, you must create a mental environment where English is allowed to come out imperfectly, because the first version of your spoken English will not be perfect, but it must be allowed to exist before it can improve. Fear also makes learners overthink the listener. They imagine the listener is judging their grammar, accent, speed, and intelligence, but most conversations are not that dramatic. Most people simply want to understand your message. If your message is clear, your English is already working. You do not need to impress everyone with perfect sentences. You need to express meaning with courage and clarity. The goal of speaking is not to prove that you know English. The goal is to connect, explain, ask, answer, share, learn, and move meaning from your mind to someone else's mind. When you remember this, speaking becomes lighter. When you forget this, speaking becomes a heavy stage where you feel forced to perform, and the more you perform, the less natural you become. One of the strongest ways to weaken fear is to speak in small, safe doses before you enter big situations. Do not wait for interviews, meetings, presentations, or conversations with strangers to be your first speaking practice. Train your courage daily in private first. Speak to yourself. Read out loud, answer simple questions, record your voice, describe what you are doing, explain your opinion for 1 minute. Let your mouth become familiar with English sound before pressure arrives. When you speak alone, your brain learns movement. When you record yourself, your brain learns awareness. When you repeat sentences, your brain learns rhythm. When you answer questions, your brain learns response. When you practice daily, your brain learns that English is not an emergency. And when the real conversation comes, your mind has already experienced speaking enough times to feel less shocked. Some learners say, but talking to myself feels strange. And yes, it may feel strange at first because your brain is not used to using English as an active voice, but strange does not mean useless. Many powerful skills feel strange before they feel natural. Exercise feels difficult before the body becomes strong. Reading aloud feels awkward before pronunciation improves. Speaking alone feels uncomfortable before confidence grows. The discomfort is not a sign to stop, it is a sign that a new speaking system is being built. Another powerful method is to lower the emotional cost of speaking. This means you stop demanding perfect sentences from yourself in every practice session. Give yourself permission to speak simple English for 5 minutes without stopping, even if the grammar is not perfect. The purpose of this exercise is not perfection, it is freedom. You are training the brain to keep moving instead of freezing every time uncertainty appears. The ability to continue speaking after a mistake is more important than the ability to avoid all mistakes, because in real conversations you will sometimes forget a word, misunderstand a question, or say something imperfectly. A weak speaking system stops and panics. A strong speaking system repairs and continues. You can say, let me say that again. You can say, what I mean is. You can say, I forgot the exact word, but. You can say, can I explain it simply? These repair phrases are powerful because they protect your flow when fear tries to interrupt it. Many learners do not know that fluent speakers use repair phrases all the time. They restart sentences, they clarify meanings, they change words, they pause and continue. This is normal human speech. You do not need to speak like a robot without mistakes. You need to speak like a human who can continue. The ability to continue is confidence in action. Fear also hides behind accent insecurity. Many learners stay silent because they think their accent is bad, but an accent is not a crime. An accent is the sound of your journey, your background, your language history, and your identity. Your goal is not to erase your identity. Your goal is to make your English clear enough to be understood. Clear pronunciation matters, but a natural accent does not make you less intelligent, less worthy, or less capable. There are millions of successful English speakers in the world who speak with accents, and they work, teach, lead, communicate, travel, sell, negotiate, create content, and build careers. They did not wait to sound exactly like someone else before using English. They improved clarity while still allowing themselves to speak. This is what you must do too. Improve your pronunciation, but do not let accent shame steal your voice. Sometimes fear becomes stronger because learners practice only in their head. They imagine speaking, they plan sentences, they think about conversations, but they do not use their voice enough. Thinking about speaking is not the same as speaking. Your mouth, tongue, breath, and ears must be trained. English must become physical, not only mental. When you speak out loud, you create a connection between mind and voice, and that connection is exactly what fear has been weakening. Your voice needs repetition. Your mouth needs practice forming sounds. Your ears need to hear your own English. Your breathing needs to stay calm while speaking. Your confidence needs evidence that you can produce sentences. This evidence does not come from thinking, it comes from doing. Every spoken sentence is a vote for the new identity you are building. That new identity is important because many learners still identify as someone who cannot speak English. Even after improvement, they carry the old identity like a heavy coat. They say, "My English is bad, I always freeze, I cannot speak, people will laugh." And these sentences become mental commands. Your brain listens to the words you repeat about yourself. If you keep calling yourself stuck, your brain will keep acting stuck. You do not need to lie to yourself and say, "I am perfectly fluent," if that does not feel true. But you can say something stronger and more honest. "I am training my English speaking every day. My fear is reducing. I can speak simple English now. I am allowed to make mistakes. My voice is improving. I am building fluency step by step." These statements do not pretend the journey is finished. They tell your brain that the journey is moving. Fear loses power when you take action before you feel ready. This is one of the most important truths in this book. If you wait until you feel completely confident, you may wait for years because confidence often appears after action, not before it. You speak a little, then confidence grows a little. You survive a mistake, then fear reduces a little. You answer one question, then your brain trusts you a little more. Confidence is not a gift that arrives before practice. Confidence is the result of repeated proof. And the proof can be small. One sentence spoken today is proof. One voice recording is proof. One answer out loud is proof. One conversation attempt is proof. One moment where you did not run from English is proof. Your brain does not need a miracle. It needs repeated evidence that speaking English is safe, possible, and useful. This is why daily micro-speaking is so powerful. Micro-speaking means small spoken practice repeated every day. You do not need to speak for 1 hour at first. You can speak for 2 minutes, then 5 minutes, then 10 minutes. You can describe your room, your day, your plans, your feelings, your goals, your problems, your favorite movie, your work, your studies, your dreams. The topic is less important than the action. The action tells your brain, "English comes out of my mouth now." Over time, these small actions create emotional strength. You begin to notice that a mistake does not destroy you. You begin to notice that your voice sounds better than before. You begin to notice that some sentences come faster. You begin to notice that your fear is still there, but it is no longer the boss. This is the moment your barrier begins to crack. Fear wants you to believe you are the only one struggling, but you are not. Millions of learners understand English but cannot speak confidently. Millions translate silently. Millions freeze when someone asks a question. Millions feel embarrassed by accent, grammar, or speed. The difference between those who stay stuck and those who become fluent is not that one group never feels fear. The difference is that one group lets fear choose silence, while the other group practices speaking until fear becomes smaller than the goal. Your goal must become bigger than your fear. Why do you want English? Is it for work, travel, study, confidence, communication, business, content creation, interviews, relationships, self-respect, or a better future? Keep that reason in front of you because fear becomes weaker when purpose becomes stronger. If your purpose is small, fear will win. If your purpose is strong, fear may still appear, but you will not obey it every time. A person who wants a new future cannot remain loyal to old fear forever. At some point, you must decide that your voice is worth more than your embarrassment. Your growth is worth more than temporary discomfort. Your future is worth more than a few mistakes. Your confidence is worth more than the opinion of someone who may laugh for 1 second and forget you forever. The fear of speaking English often feels like a locked door, but the key is repeated exposure. The more you enter speaking situations, the less mysterious they become. The more you use your voice, the less strange it feels. The more you survive imperfect moments, the less dangerous they seem. This is how the nervous system learns safety. It does not learn safety from hiding, it learns safety from careful, repeated action. You can begin with low-pressure speaking, then move to medium pressure, then high pressure. First speak alone, then record yourself, then speak with one trusted friend, then join a small practice group, then answer simple questions online, then speak in real situations. This gradual path trains courage like a muscle. You do not need to jump into the hardest situation first. You need to keep increasing your courage step by step. But you must not stay forever in preparation. Preparation is useful, but hiding inside preparation is dangerous. Some learners spend years preparing to speak and never actually speak. They collect courses, save videos, write notes, download apps, and plan routines, but avoid the one action that will change everything, using their voice. Do not let preparation become another form of fear. Learn, yes. Prepare, yes. But speak also. Your English barrier will not break only because you understand this chapter. It will break when you use this truth. After this chapter, choose one sentence and speak it out loud. Say, "My English is not trapped anymore." Say, "I am training my voice." Say, "I can speak simple English with confidence." It may feel small, but every spoken sentence is a crack in the wall. Remember, fear does not disappear because you argue with it. Fear disappears when your brain receives proof. Proof that you can speak. Proof that mistakes are survivable. Proof that people can understand you. Proof that your voice can improve. Proof that English is not only something you study, but something you use. Give your brain that proof daily, and fear will slowly lose its authority. You are not here to become fearless before speaking. You are here to become brave while speaking. Fearless means no fear, but bravery means you speak even when fear is present. This is more realistic and more powerful. Many fluent speakers still feel nervous in some situations, but they do not let nervousness close their mouth. They have trained themselves to continue, and you can train yourself too. The English inside you does not need a perfect moment. It needs permission. Permission to come out imperfectly. Permission to sound simple. Permission to pause. Permission to restart. Permission to grow in public and private. Permission to be human. Once you give yourself that permission, the pressure begins to fall. And when pressure falls, fluency begins to rise. So the fear that locks your English inside your mind is not unbeatable. It is strong because you have obeyed it many times, but it can become weak when you stop obeying it completely. Every time fear says, "Stay silent," and you speak one sentence, you take back power. Every time fear says, "You will look foolish," and you practice anyway, you take back power. Every time fear says, "You are not ready," and you answer with simple English, you take back power. This is the golden turning point. Your English will not open when you become perfect. Your English will open when you stop being afraid of being imperfect. That is where real speaking begins. Not in perfection, but in permission. Not in silence, but in movement. Not in hiding, but in courage. The wall of fear may have kept your English locked for years, but from this moment forward, you can begin breaking it sentence by sentence, practice by practice, day by day, until your voice becomes stronger than your fear. Chapter 4. Why grammar knowledge does not automatically create speaking power. Many English learners spend years believing that grammar is the main door to fluency, and because of this belief, they keep collecting rules, memorizing tenses, watching grammar lessons, filling notebooks with structures, and testing themselves again and again. But after all that effort, when the moment comes to speak, they still feel stuck, slow, nervous, and confused because grammar knowledge alone does not automatically become speaking power. This does not mean grammar is useless. Grammar is important because it gives English shape, order, and clarity. Grammar helps you understand how sentences work, how time is expressed, how ideas connect, and how meaning changes when words change position. But grammar becomes a problem when learners treat it as the engine of speaking, because real speaking does not happen by opening a grammar rule in your mind every time you want to say something. When you speak in real life, you do not have enough time to think, which tense should I use, what is the subject, where is the auxiliary verb, should this be present perfect or past simple, is this sentence active or passive, is my preposition correct? Because conversation moves quickly, and if your brain tries to check every rule before every sentence, your speech becomes slow, broken, and full of hesitation. This is why some learners know grammar very well on paper but cannot speak naturally. They can explain the difference between many tenses, but they cannot answer a simple question without freezing. They can solve grammar exercises, but they cannot introduce themselves confidently. They can recognize correct sentences in a test, but they cannot produce their own sentences under pressure. This happens because grammar knowledge and speaking ability live in different parts of practice. Grammar knowledge is often conscious knowledge, which means you can think about it slowly, explain it, analyze it, and correct it when you have time. Speaking ability is automatic skill, which means your brain must produce useful sentences quickly while your emotions, voice, memory, and confidence are working together. If grammar stays only as conscious knowledge, it may help you understand English, but it will not always help you speak English with flow. Imagine learning to drive by reading a driving manual for years but never touching the steering wheel. You may understand road signs, traffic rules, mirrors, gears, and brakes, but the first time you sit in real traffic, your body will not move smoothly because driving is not only knowledge, it is coordination, timing, confidence, and practice. English speaking is the same. Grammar is like the rulebook, but speaking is the driving. You need both, but the rulebook cannot replace the road. This is the hidden mistake many learners make. They study English as if fluency is a written exam, but speaking is not a written exam. Speaking is live communication. Speaking is messy, human, fast, emotional, and imperfect. It requires you to keep moving even when your sentence is not perfect. It requires you to explain your meaning even when you forget one word. It requires you to repair mistakes while continuing the conversation. Grammar can guide you, but it cannot speak for you. A learner who waits for perfect grammar before speaking often becomes trapped in silence. Because perfection becomes the price of permission, they tell themselves, when my grammar becomes strong, then I will speak. But the truth is that grammar becomes stronger through speaking too, because when you use grammar in real sentences, your brain begins to feel patterns, not only remember rules. The mind learns faster when grammar is connected to voice, situation, emotion, and repetition. This is why you must stop treating grammar as a wall and start treating it as a tool. A wall says, you cannot speak until you are perfect. A tool says, use what you know to communicate better. If grammar makes you afraid to speak, you are using it as a wall. If grammar helps you improve your sentences after practice, you are using it as a tool. The difference is powerful. Many learners use grammar in the wrong order. They try to think of the rule first and then speak. Natural speakers usually do the opposite. They speak from familiar patterns, and grammar is already hidden inside those patterns because they have heard and used them many times. For example, a fluent speaker does not think deeply before saying, I have been working all day. The structure comes naturally because the pattern has been repeated so many times that the brain can produce it without analysis. This is the secret. Grammar must move from rule memory to pattern memory. Rule memory says, I know the formula. Pattern memory says, this sentence sounds natural because I have used it many times. Rule memory is slow. Pattern memory is fast. Rule memory needs thinking. Pattern memory needs repetition. If you want to speak naturally, you must turn grammar rules into speaking patterns. For example, instead of only learning the rule of used to, you should practice many real sentences. I used to translate every sentence. I used to feel nervous when speaking. I used to avoid English conversations. I used to think grammar was everything. Now I am training my speaking. When you repeat useful sentences like this, the grammar stops being a cold rule and becomes a living pattern inside your speaking system. Instead of only learning present perfect as a rule, practice sentences like, I have studied English for years, I have watched many lessons, I have tried many methods, I have made many mistakes, I have improved slowly, I have not given up. These sentences teach grammar through identity, experience, and real meaning. This is much stronger than memorizing a formula and never using it in speech. The brain loves patterns because patterns reduce pressure. When you have a ready pattern, you do not have to build every sentence from zero. If you know the pattern, I want to, you can say, I want to speak better. I want to improve my pronunciation. I want to understand native speakers. I want to stop translating. I want to become confident. One pattern can open many sentences. This is how grammar becomes fluency. The problem is that many learners memorize grammar rules but do not repeat enough real-life sentences with those rules. They know what the structure means, but they have not trained their mouth to say it quickly. They have not trained their ears to recognize it naturally. They have not trained their brain to use it when emotion is present. So the rule stays in the notebook, while the mouth stays silent. If you want grammar to help your speaking, you must practice grammar out loud. Do not only write sentences, speak them. Do not only read examples, repeat them. Do not only understand the lesson, use the structure to talk about your life. If you learn past tense, speak about yesterday. If you learn future tense, speak about tomorrow. If you learn conditionals, speak about your dreams, choices, and possibilities. Grammar becomes powerful when it touches your real life. A sentence about your life is easier to remember than a random sentence from a textbook because your life gives the sentence emotion and emotion gives memory strength. If you say, I was afraid to speak English before, that sentence has meaning for you. If you say, I will practice every day, that sentence has purpose. If you say, I would speak more confidently if I stopped fearing mistakes, that sentence connects grammar with your real struggle. This is how grammar becomes alive. Another reason grammar knowledge does not create speaking power is that learners often learn grammar in isolation. They study one tense today, another tense tomorrow, modal verbs next week, passive voice later, and conditionals after that, but they do not practice connecting these structures in real conversation. Real speech does not come in separate grammar boxes. In one conversation, you may talk about the past, present, future, opinions, reasons, plans, problems, and feelings all together. This means your speaking practice must mix grammar naturally. You should practice speaking about one topic using different structures. For example, talk about your English journey. Say, I started learning English many years ago. I have learned many words, but I still feel nervous when I speak. I am trying to practice more every day. I will improve if I continue. I want to speak naturally without translating. In this small paragraph, you used past, present perfect, present future, conditionals, and desire patterns without stopping to analyze every rule. This is real fluency training, not grammar in isolation, but grammar in movement. Not grammar as a test, but grammar as communication. Not grammar as fear, but grammar as support. You must also understand that speaking fluency does not require perfect grammar in every sentence. Clear communication can happen even with small grammar mistakes, and as you continue practicing, your grammar naturally becomes cleaner. But if you wait for perfect grammar before speaking, you may never give your brain enough speaking experience to improve. This is why courage must come before perfection. Many learners say, I don't want to speak because my grammar is bad, but the stronger truth is that your grammar may stay weak because you do not speak enough. Speaking exposes weak areas. Speaking shows you what you need to practice. Speaking makes grammar active. Speaking gives your brain feedback. Avoiding speaking protects you from mistakes for a moment, but it also protects you from growth. A grammar mistake is not the end of communication. If you say, yesterday I go to market, people may still understand you, and later you can improve it to yesterday I went to the market. But if you say nothing because you are afraid of grammar, there is no communication and no correction. Imperfect speech can grow, silent knowledge cannot. This does not mean you should ignore grammar completely. It means you should learn grammar with the purpose of speaking, not with the fear of speaking. Learn a structure, then immediately use it in 10 spoken sentences. Learn a tense, then describe your day with it. Learn a question form, then ask questions out loud. Learn connectors, then explain your opinion. Grammar should become action quickly, because unused grammar becomes heavy knowledge. The best grammar for speaking is the grammar you can use automatically. You do not need to know every advanced rule before you speak well. You need strong control over the most common patterns. You need to be comfortable with simple present, past, future, common questions, common negatives, common connectors, and useful sentence starters. When these become automatic, your speaking becomes much stronger, even if your advanced grammar is still developing. Some learners chase advanced grammar too early because they think difficult structures will make them sound fluent, but difficult structures without automatic basics only make speaking heavier. A person who can speak simple English clearly sounds more fluent than a person who knows complex grammar but freezes after every few words. Fluency is not measured by how complicated your sentence is. Fluency is measured by how naturally you can express meaning. This is why simple grammar used confidently is more powerful than advanced grammar used fearfully. A clear sentence like, "I need more practice because I feel nervous when I speak," is better than a complicated sentence that never comes out. A natural sentence like, "I have been learning English for a long time, but I want to speak more confidently," is better than a perfect rule trapped in your notebook. You must build a speaking foundation. A foundation is not glamorous, but it holds everything. Your foundation includes common verbs, common sentence patterns, daily life expressions, question-answer practice, pronunciation rhythm, and confidence with simple structures. Once this foundation is strong, advanced grammar becomes easier because your brain already has a speaking system to place it into. Without a foundation, every new grammar rule feels like another heavy stone in your mind. With a foundation, every new grammar rule becomes another tool you can use. This is why learners who speak daily improve faster. Their brain has a place to use new knowledge. The rule does not float in the air. It enters speech. Another hidden problem is that grammar study can become a safe hiding place. It feels productive because you are learning, watching, writing, and understanding, but it does not always challenge the fear of speaking. You may feel comfortable studying grammar for hours because no one can judge your voice there, but comfort is not always growth. If your main problem is speaking fear, then more silent grammar study will not solve the emotional barrier. You must ask yourself honestly, am I studying grammar to improve my speaking, or am I studying grammar to avoid speaking? This question can reveal the truth. If you learn a grammar rule and then use it out loud, grammar is helping you. If you learn rule after rule but still avoid your voice, grammar has become a hiding place. The barrier breaks when you bring grammar into sound. Your voice must touch the structure. Your mouth must feel the sentence. Your ears must hear your own English. Your brain must experience the pattern in motion. This is why speaking practice cannot be replaced by silent understanding. Silent understanding is only the beginning. Spoken repetition is where fluency starts. A powerful practice is called grammar to life. Take one grammar structure and connect it to your real life for 5 minutes. If the structure is "I used to," say, "I used to translate everything. I used to fear English conversations. I used to think fluency was impossible. I used to avoid speaking in front of people. I used to stay silent even when I knew the answer." Then change it. "Now I am practicing daily. Now I am building confidence. Now I am training my mind." This practice turns grammar into a personal transformation. Another practice is one pattern, many sentences. Choose one useful pattern and create as many sentences as possible. I am trying to speak more. I am trying to stop translating. I am trying to improve my accent. I am trying to think in English. I am trying to become confident. This builds automatic control. One pattern becomes a road, and every sentence you speak on that road makes it smoother. Another practice is question and answer grammar. If you learn a structure, turn it into questions and answers. Have you ever spoken English with a stranger? Yes, I have spoken English with a stranger, but I felt nervous. What will you do tomorrow? I will practice speaking for 10 minutes. Why do you want to learn English? Because I want to communicate confidently. This trains grammar in conversation format, which is closer to real life than isolated exercises. You should also practice grammar with emotion because emotion makes language memorable. Say sentences with real feeling. Say, "I am tired of being silent." Say, "I want to speak freely." Say, "I have waited too long." Say, "I will not hide from English anymore." When grammar carries emotion, your brain remembers it more deeply, and your speaking begins to feel more human. Many learners speak like they are translating a textbook because they never practice emotional English. They can say facts, but they struggle to express feelings, opinions, and personal meaning. To become a confident speaker, you must practice sentences that sound like you. Not only "the cat is on the table," but "I feel nervous when people ask me questions." Not only "he goes to school," but "I want to improve because I know English can change my future." This is real English. This is the English your life needs. Grammar becomes powerful when it helps you express your real thoughts. It becomes harmful when it makes you afraid of expressing anything. The goal is not to worship grammar. The goal is to use grammar to carry meaning. Meaning is the heart. Grammar is the structure. Voice is the bridge. Confidence is the energy that moves everything forward. You must also learn to correct yourself without shame. If you say a sentence wrong, do not stop and attack yourself. Simply correct it calmly. Say, yesterday I go, sorry, yesterday I went, then continue. This small habit teaches your brain that mistakes are manageable. You do not need to collapse when a sentence is wrong. You can repair and move on. This is a major part of speaking power. Self-correction is different from self-punishment. Self-correction says, I can improve this. Self-punishment says, I am bad at English. Self-correction builds skill. Self-punishment builds fear. Choose correction, leave punishment. Your brain learns better when it feels guided, not attacked. Another important truth is that grammar accuracy improves naturally when you receive enough input and output together. Input means listening and reading. Output means speaking and writing. If you only consume English, your understanding grows. If you only speak without listening, your patterns may remain limited. But when you listen to natural English and then speak out loud using similar patterns, your brain begins to absorb grammar more deeply. This is why shadowing can help. When you listen to a sentence and repeat it, you are not only copying pronunciation, you are absorbing grammar rhythm. You begin to feel word order. You begin to notice how sentences are built. You begin to internalize patterns without heavy analysis. Over time, some grammar starts to sound right or wrong naturally, and this is a sign that grammar is moving from rules into instinct. Instinctive grammar does not mean you never study, it means study has been repeated enough to become feeling. A fluent speaker often says, this sentence sounds right because they have heard and used the pattern many times. You can develop this feeling too, but not by memorizing rules only. You develop it by hearing, repeating, speaking, correcting, and using English consistently. There is also a dangerous belief that only people with perfect grammar deserve to speak. This belief destroys confidence. English is a global language used by people from hundreds of backgrounds, accents, levels, and countries. Many successful people speak English with small mistakes, but they communicate clearly, confidently, and effectively. Their courage gives them opportunities that silent perfection never gives. Your English does not need to be perfect to be useful. It needs to be clear enough to carry your meaning. It needs to be active enough to respond. It needs to be strong enough to continue. Perfection can come later in layers. First build movement, then build accuracy, then build style, then build power. Do not reverse the order. If you demand power before movement, you will freeze. If you demand style before clarity, you will become confused. If you demand advanced grammar before daily speaking, you will stay stuck. The natural order is simple. Speak simply, speak often. Notice mistakes, improve patterns, repeat again, and slowly your grammar becomes cleaner because it is being trained in the real environment of communication. This is how children learn their first language. They do not begin with grammar explanations. They hear patterns, repeat them, make mistakes, receive correction, and gradually speak more accurately. Adult learners can use grammar knowledge as an advantage, but they must not let grammar knowledge block the natural process of repetition and use. You can study smarter, but you still must practice like a speaker. A speaker's brain is different from a student's brain. A student's brain asks, is this rule correct? A speaker's brain asks, can I express this meaning? You need both, but in conversation, the speaker's brain must lead. If the student's brain takes control during speaking, you will pause too much and judge too much. Let the speaker speak first. Let the student review later. This is a powerful rule. Speak first, correct later. During practice, allow flow. After practice, choose 1 or 2 mistakes to improve. Do not try to correct everything while speaking because too much correction in the moment kills fluency. If you are always stopping yourself, your brain learns that speaking is dangerous. If you allow flow first, your brain learns movement, and movement gives you material to improve. For example, record yourself speaking for 3 minutes about your day. Do not stop. Do not edit. Do not translate. Speak as naturally as you can. After that, listen and choose only 2 things to improve. Maybe 1 tense mistake, maybe 1 pronunciation issue, maybe 1 missing word. Practice those, then speak again tomorrow. This system builds confidence and accuracy together without crushing your voice. Many learners fail because they try to fix everything at once. They want perfect grammar, perfect accent, perfect vocabulary, perfect speed, and perfect confidence immediately. This overloads the mind. A calm system works better. Focus on one improvement at a time. This week, practice past tense. Next week, practice question answers. Another week, practice connectors. Another week, practice speaking without translating. Small focus creates big change over time. Grammar should be trained like a speaking habit, not like a museum object. A museum object is something you look at but do not touch. Many learners treat grammar like that. They admire rules from a distance but never use them naturally. A speaking habit is something you touch every day. You use it, repeat it, bend it, correct it, and make it yours. To make grammar yours, you must personalize it. Do not only say textbook sentences, say your sentences. I have been learning English because I want a better future. I was afraid before, but now I am practicing. I will speak more confidently if I continue. I used to translate everything, but I am changing that habit. These sentences are not only grammar practice, they are identity training. Identity training matters because the way you speak about your English becomes the way you feel about your English. If you always practice boring sentences, English feels boring. If you practice meaningful sentences, English feels alive. If you practice fearful sentences, fear grows. If you practice powerful sentences, confidence grows. Your practice should not only teach language, it should build the speaker inside you. There is a reason this book is called Break the English Barrier, not Memorize the English Rules. The barrier is not broken by knowledge alone. It is broken when knowledge becomes action. It is broken when grammar becomes voice. It is broken when rules become patterns. It is broken when hesitation becomes movement. It is broken when the learner stops hiding behind study and starts becoming a speaker. Your goal is not to throw grammar away. Your goal is to take grammar out of the notebook and place it inside your mouth, your listening, your daily habits, your confidence, and your real conversations. Grammar should not be a prison. It should be a map. It should not stop your voice. It should guide your voice. It should not make you afraid. It should help you become clear. From this chapter forward, whenever you learn grammar, ask one question immediately. How can I use this in my real speaking today? If you cannot answer that question, the grammar may remain passive. If you can answer it and speak it, the grammar begins to become active. This question will protect you from wasting years learning rules that never become communication. If you learn because, use it to explain your reasons. If you learn although, use it to express contrast. If you learn used to, use it to talk about your past. If you learn going to, use it to talk about plans. If you learn should, use it to give advice. If you learn I wish, use it to express desire. Every grammar point must become a speaking tool. This is how English becomes natural, not by avoiding grammar, but by digesting grammar through use. A rule you only memorize remains outside you. A rule you speak many times becomes part of you. A sentence pattern you use in your life becomes your own. A structure you repeat with emotion becomes automatic, and when grammar becomes automatic, speaking becomes lighter. The strongest speakers are not always the ones who know the most rules. They are the ones who can use the most useful patterns with confidence. They know how to start a sentence, continue an idea, explain a reason, ask for clarity, give an example, share an opinion, and recover from a mistake. These are practical speaking powers, and they are built through repeated use, not silent memorization alone. You can begin today by choosing one grammar pattern and speaking 10 personal sentences with it. Do not wait. Do not search for perfect examples. Use your life, use your struggle, use your dreams, use your routine, use your emotions. Speak the pattern until it feels less strange. Tomorrow, repeat it again. After a week, that pattern will feel easier. After a month, it may come without effort. This is how fluency is built quietly. Remember, the brain does not become fluent because it once understood a lesson. The brain becomes fluent because it meets the same useful language again and again until the language becomes familiar enough to use under pressure. Repetition is not boring when it is building freedom. Repetition is the road from knowledge to fluency. Grammar can either be a chain or a key. It becomes a chain when you use it to judge yourself, delay speaking, and demand perfection. It becomes a key when you use it to build clear sentences, strengthen patterns, and express your thoughts with more control. The same grammar can trap you or free you depending on how you use it. So do not fear grammar, but do not worship it either. Respect it, learn it, use it, and move through it. Let grammar support your voice, not silence your voice. Let grammar improve your message, not stop your message. Let grammar become part of your speaking habit, not a judge sitting in your mind with a red pen waiting to punish every word. Your English will not become fluent only because you know what is correct. It will become fluent when your brain can produce what is useful, clear, and natural in the moment you need it. That is speaking power. That is the real goal. And once grammar moves from your notebook into your voice, the English barrier becomes weaker because now your knowledge is no longer trapped inside your mind. It is becoming sound, movement, confidence, and communication. The wall begins to crack when you stop asking grammar for permission to speak and start using grammar as support while you speak. You do not need to be perfect to begin. You need to begin so your grammar can become stronger. You need to speak so your patterns can become automatic. You need to use English so your mind can finally understand that language is not a test to fear but a tool to live with. This is the turning point of your journey. Grammar is not the enemy, but grammar without speaking practice becomes another silent cage. Break that cage, speak the patterns, use the rules, make mistakes, correct calmly, repeat daily, build automatic sentences, train your voice. And one day, the grammar that once made you freeze will become the hidden structure that helps your English flow naturally, clearly, and confidently. Chapter 5. The Hidden Speaking Muscle Most Learners Never Train. There is a hidden muscle inside every English learner that most people never train. And because they never train it, they spend years collecting words, watching lessons, reading grammar, saving videos, downloading apps, and writing notes. But when the real moment comes to speak, that hidden muscle remains weak and the English they understand inside their mind does not have enough strength to come out through their voice. This hidden muscle is your speaking response system. It is the ability to hear or feel an idea and quickly turn it into spoken English without waiting too long, without translating every word, without checking every grammar rule, and without becoming so afraid of mistakes that your mouth closes before your sentence begins. This muscle is not built only by reading, not built only by listening, not built only by watching English content, and not built only by understanding lessons, because understanding is passive, but speaking is active. Many learners make the painful mistake of believing that if they understand enough English, speaking will automatically come later, but this is not always true because your brain can become very strong at receiving English and still remain weak at producing English. You may understand a full video, enjoy English movies, read social media posts, and recognize many words, but speaking requires a different kind of training because now your brain must create language, organize thoughts, control emotions, move the mouth, produce sounds, and respond in real time. This is why you can listen for 1 hour and feel confident, but speak for 1 minute and feel tired. Listening uses one pathway, speaking uses another pathway. Listening asks your brain to recognize meaning. Speaking asks your brain to build meaning and release it. Listening can happen quietly. Speaking needs courage. Listening can be paused, replayed, and supported by subtitles. Speaking happens live, with pressure, timing, mistakes, and another person waiting for you. If you only train listening, your listening becomes stronger. If you only train reading, your reading becomes stronger. If you only train grammar exercises, your grammar recognition becomes stronger. But if you want speaking to become stronger, you must train speaking directly. This sounds simple, but millions of learners avoid it because speaking is the part that feels most uncomfortable, and the part that feels most uncomfortable is often the part that needs the most training. Your speaking muscle is weak not because you are incapable, but because it has not been used enough in the correct way. A person cannot build strong arms by only watching exercise videos. A person cannot become a good swimmer by only reading about water. A person cannot become a driver by only memorizing traffic rules. In the same way, you cannot become a fluent speaker by only consuming English silently. You must put English into motion. Speaking is motion. Speaking is breath. Speaking is sound. Speaking is rhythm. Speaking is mouth movement. Speaking is confidence under pressure. Speaking is the courage to begin before the sentence feels perfect. Speaking is the ability to continue when one word is missing. Speaking is the ability to repair your sentence without losing your mind. Speaking is not only what you know, it is what you can use while your mind is alive and the moment is moving. Most learners train English like collectors, not like speakers. They collect vocabulary lists, collect grammar rules, collect saved lessons, collect motivational videos, collect notebooks, collect tips, collect methods, and collect plans. But speaking is not created by collection alone. Speaking is created by conversion. You must convert passive knowledge into active voice. You must convert known words into spoken sentences. You must convert grammar rules into natural patterns. You must convert silent confidence into audible confidence. This conversion does not happen by accident. It happens through repeated output. Output means producing English. Speaking out loud is output. Answering questions is output. Describing your day is output. Recording your voice is output. Retelling a story is output. Explaining an idea is output. Talking to a friend is output. Teaching something in English is output. Your brain needs output because output forces English to leave the storage room and enter the real world. When English stays inside your mind, it may look clean and perfect, but it remains weak because it has never been tested by sound. The first time you speak a word out loud, your mouth may feel strange. The first time you explain an idea, your sentence may break. The first time you answer quickly, your brain may panic. This does not mean you are failing. It means the speaking muscle is waking up, and every weak muscle shakes when it first begins to work. Do not be ashamed if your spoken English feels smaller than your understood English. This is normal. Your passive English may be like a big library, but your active English may be like a small open shelf. The goal is not to hate the small shelf. The goal is to move more books from the library to the shelf, slowly and daily, until the English you understand becomes the English you can actually use. This is where many learners become impatient. They say, "I know this word, why can't I use it?" The answer is simple. Knowing a word and using a word are different levels of ownership. A word you recognize belongs to your passive memory. A word you can speak naturally belongs to your active memory. To move a word from passive to active, you must use it in sentences, repeat it in different situations, hear it many times, speak it many times, and connect it to your real life. For example, you may know the word hesitation, but if you never say sentences like, "My hesitation stops me from speaking," "I want to reduce my hesitation," hesitation becomes weaker when I practice, and "I am tired of hesitation controlling my English," then the word may remain passive. It lives in your understanding, but it does not yet live in your voice. Speaking practice gives the word a home in your mouth. This is why sentence practice is more powerful than word practice. Words alone are like bricks lying on the ground. Sentences are the wall you build with those bricks. If you only memorize single words, you still have to build the sentence under pressure, and that creates hesitation. But if you practice useful sentence patterns, your brain has ready structures, and then speaking becomes easier because you are not building from zero every time. Your speaking muscle grows when you practice patterns repeatedly, patterns like "I want to," "I need to," "I feel," "I think," "the reason is," "in my opinion," "what I mean is," "I used to," "I have been," "I am trying to," "on," and "I want to improve" are not small things, they are roads inside your brain. Once these roads become strong, you can place many ideas on them and speak faster. If you know the pattern "I am trying to," you can say, "I am trying to speak more confidently," "I am trying to stop translating," "I am trying to improve my pronunciation," "I am trying to think in English," "I am trying to practice every day," and "I am trying to become more natural." One pattern gives you many sentences. This is how speaking becomes lighter. The hidden speaking muscle also needs repetition with sound because English is not only mental. English has rhythm, stress, intonation, pauses, and movement. When you only read silently, your eyes understand, but your mouth does not learn. When you speak out loud, your mouth learns the shape of words, your ears hear your own voice, your breathing adjusts, and your brain becomes familiar with producing English as sound. This is why reading out loud is not childish. It is training. Shadowing is not childish. It is training. Repeating sentences is not childish. It is training. Talking to yourself is not childish. It is training. Recording your voice is not embarrassing. It is training. The people who laugh at simple practice often remain stuck because they want fluent results without humble repetition. Every serious skill has boring-looking practice behind it. A singer repeats scales, an athlete repeats basic movements, a speaker repeats phrases, a writer rewrites sentences, a driver practices control before speed, a fluent English speaker practices simple sentences before natural flow. Do not disrespect the simple practice that builds powerful results. Many learners want advanced English too soon, but your speaking muscle first needs control over simple English. Simple English is not low-level English. Simple English is the foundation of clear communication. If you cannot speak simple English smoothly, advanced English will become heavy. If you cannot say, "I feel nervous when I speak," naturally, then saying something more advanced will not make you fluent. It may only make you more stressed. Your goal is not to sound complicated. Your goal is to sound clear, natural, and confident. A simple sentence spoken with confidence is stronger than a complex sentence trapped in fear. A clear idea expressed in basic English is more useful than an advanced idea you cannot say. Fluency begins when you can use what you already know without fighting your mind every second. This is why you must build what I call daily speaking strength. Daily speaking strength is the ability to talk about normal life without heavy effort. Your routine, your feelings, your goals, your problems, your plans, your opinions, your work, your study, your family, your dreams, and your day should become easy topics. If you cannot speak about your own life, then English will always feel distant because language becomes natural when it connects to the life you actually live. Start with your day. Every morning, say a few sentences in English. Today I feel tired, but I will practice. I have some work to do. I want to improve my English. I will speak for 10 minutes. I will not wait for perfect confidence. These sentences are simple, but they train your brain to begin the day with English as a living voice, not only as a subject. During the day, describe actions. I am opening my laptop. I am checking my phone. I am drinking tea. I am thinking about my work. I need to finish this task. I feel a little nervous. I want to stay focused. This practice seems small, but it is powerful because it connects English directly with reality, and every direct connection weakens the habit of translation. At night, review your day out loud. Today I practiced English. I made some mistakes. I felt nervous, but I continued. I learned that speaking is a skill. Tomorrow I will speak more. This creates a loop in your brain: morning intention, daily connection, night review. Over time, English becomes part of your routine, and whatever becomes routine becomes less frightening. Your speaking muscle also needs speed training, but speed training does not mean speaking fast like a native speaker immediately. It means reducing the gap between thought and speech. At first, your sentence may take 10 seconds to start. Later, it may take 5 seconds, then 3 seconds, then 1 second. Fluency is often the shrinking of this gap. The smaller the gap, the more natural you feel. One way to train this is quick answer practice. Ask yourself simple questions and answer immediately with simple English. What is your name? My name is. What are you doing? I am practicing English. Why are you practicing? Because I want to speak confidently. What is your biggest problem? My biggest problem is hesitation. What will you do? I will practice every day. Do not wait for perfect answers. Answer quickly and clearly. This practice teaches your brain that speaking does not always need long preparation. It trains response. Response is important because real conversations are not speeches. In real conversations, people ask, answer, react, clarify, interrupt, continue, and move from one idea to another. If you only practice long prepared paragraphs, you may still struggle with quick conversation. You need response training. Another powerful method is retelling. Listen to a short story, paragraph, or lesson, then close it and explain the same idea in your own simple English. Do not try to repeat every word perfectly. Focus on meaning. Retelling trains memory, sentence building, vocabulary activation, and confidence. It teaches your brain to take input and turn it into output, which is exactly what fluent speakers do naturally. For example, if you listen to a lesson about fear, retell it like this. The lesson says fear stops many learners from speaking English. They know words, but they feel nervous. The solution is to practice small sentences every day and not wait for perfect grammar. This is simple, but it is active. You are no longer only consuming English. You are creating English. Your speaking muscle also grows through opinion practice. Many learners can describe basic facts, but they struggle to express opinions because opinions require personal language. Practice saying, I think, I believe, in my opinion, for me, the best way is, the biggest problem is, I agree because, and I disagree because. These patterns help you speak like a person with thoughts, not only like a student answering grammar questions. English becomes powerful when it carries your opinion. Say, I think translation slows down speaking. Say, I believe confidence comes from practice. Say, in my opinion, learners should speak simple English first. Say, for me, fear is the biggest problem. These sentences build identity because you are not only repeating language, you are expressing your mind. Another important muscle is continuation. Many learners can start a sentence, but they stop quickly because they do not know how to continue. To build continuation, learn connectors. Because, but, so, and, also. For example, that means, the reason is, another thing is, and, what I mean is. These connectors are like bridges. They help you keep speaking. If you say, I want to improve my English, add because. I want to improve my English because I want to speak confidently. Add but. I want to improve my English, but sometimes I feel nervous. Add so. I feel nervous, so I need daily speaking practice. Add for example. For example, I can practice for 10 minutes every morning. Now one small sentence becomes a full spoken idea. This is how you grow from sentence speaker to paragraph speaker. You do not need magic, you need bridges. A person who can connect ideas sounds more fluent because their speech continues. Fluency is not only correct words, fluency is movement from one idea to the next. Connectors create that movement. Your speaking muscle also needs recovery practice. Recovery means what you do when you forget a word, make a mistake, or lose your sentence. Many learners panic because they do not know how to recover. But fluent communication does not require never getting stuck. It requires knowing how to continue when you get stuck. Learn recovery phrases. Let me say that again. What I mean is, I forgot the word, but how can I explain this? In simple words, give me a second. I mean, the idea is. These phrases are powerful because they give your brain time without falling into silence. They make you feel safe during mistakes. If you forget a word, do not stop completely. Describe it. If you do not know umbrella, say the thing we use when it rains. If you do not know appointment, say a meeting with a doctor or person at a fixed time. This is not weakness. This is communication intelligence. A strong speaker knows how to explain around missing words. Your speaking muscle becomes stronger when you stop depending on perfect vocabulary and start using flexible expression. Flexible expression means you can say the same idea in different ways. If you cannot say I am overwhelmed, say I feel too much pressure. If you cannot say I procrastinate, say I delay my work. If you cannot say I lack confidence, say I do not feel confident. This flexibility keeps you speaking. Many learners become silent because they search for one exact word. But speaking does not need exactness every time. It needs meaning. If the meaning reaches the listener, your English is working. Later you can learn the better word, but in the moment, keep the conversation alive. A live, simple sentence is better than a dead, perfect sentence waiting in your head. The hidden speaking muscle also requires emotional tolerance. Emotional tolerance means you can feel nervous and still speak. You can feel imperfect and still continue. You can hear your accent and still practice. You can make a mistake and still stay calm. This emotional strength is part of fluency. Without it, even good English stays trapped. Some learners think they need confidence first, then they will speak. But the truth is often the opposite. You speak first, then confidence grows. Confidence is not a light that switches on before action. Confidence is a fire that grows after repeated action. Every time you speak, even badly, you add a little fuel. Every time you hide, the fire becomes weaker. Do not wait until you feel ready. Ready is created by repetition. Ready is created by daily attempts. Ready is created by small victories. Ready is created when your brain says, I have done this before and I survived. This is why practice must be regular. If you speak once a month, your brain treats English like a rare emergency. If you speak every day, your brain treats English like normal life. Normal is the goal. You want English speaking to feel normal, not special. You want English to become part of your day, not a scary event. You want your voice to become familiar with English sounds, not shocked by them. You want your mind to expect English, not fear it. This happens when speaking becomes frequent. Frequency beats intensity. 10 minutes every day is often better than 2 hours once a week. Daily practice keeps the pathway warm. Daily practice reminds the brain. Daily practice builds identity. Daily practice lowers fear. Daily practice makes English part of who you are becoming. A powerful daily routine can be simple. First, repeat 5 useful sentences. Second, answer 5 simple questions. Third, describe your day for 2 minutes. Fourth, retell one small idea from something you heard. Fifth, record your voice for 1 minute. This routine may look small, but if you do it for 30 days, your speaking muscle will not remain the same. The key is consistency, not drama. You do not need a perfect study room, a perfect teacher, a perfect partner, or a perfect accent before you begin. You need a voice and a decision. Speak where you are, speak with what you know. Speak simply, speak daily. Speak until your brain stops fearing the sound of your own English. Your environment also matters. If everyone around you laughs at mistakes, you must create your own safe practice space. Practice alone first. Use your phone recorder. Find one supportive partner. Join a serious learning group. Follow channels that encourage speaking, not shame. Your speaking muscle grows faster in safety than in humiliation. But safety does not mean comfort forever. It means a place where you can practice without being destroyed emotionally. After safety, you still need challenge. A muscle grows when it meets resistance. Your speaking grows when you slowly increase difficulty. First alone, then with one person, then in small conversations, then in longer discussions, then in real situations. Do not jump too fast and do not stay too small. Grow step by step. If you only speak alone forever, you may still fear people. If you only speak with people before building basics, you may feel overwhelmed. Balance is the secret. Build strength privately, then test it publicly. Return to private practice, then test again. This cycle creates real progress. Another hidden part of speaking strength is listening to speaking connection. When you listen, do not only understand, notice useful phrases and repeat them. If someone says, "The problem is," repeat it. If someone says, "What I mean is," repeat it. If someone says, "I've been trying to," repeat it. Then use it in your own sentence. This turns listening into speaking fuel. Many learners waste listening practice because they listen passively only. Passive listening can help, but active listening is stronger. Active listening asks, what sentence can I steal and use today? Not steal in a bad way, but collect useful patterns. Fluent speakers are made from thousands of patterns they have heard and used. You must collect patterns and speak them. One useful method is phrase harvesting. When you hear a useful phrase, write it down. Then create 3 personal sentences with it. If the phrase is, "I realized that," say, "I realized that translation slows me down." "I realized that I need more speaking practice." "I realized that confidence grows slowly." Now the phrase becomes yours. Another method is emotional repetition. Choose sentences that speak to your struggle and repeat them with meaning. "I am not afraid of mistakes. I can speak simple English. My voice is improving. I will not wait for perfect English. I am building fluency every day." This is not only motivation, it is speaking training with identity. Your mouth practices English while your mind receives courage. Some people may say this is too simple. Let them say it. Simple practice done daily beats complicated practice done rarely. The learner who speaks simple English every day will grow faster than the learner who studies advanced English silently and never opens their mouth. The world rewards usable English, not hidden English. Your hidden speaking muscle also needs topic repetition. Do not practice a topic once and leave it forever. Speak about the same topic many times until it becomes easier. Talk about your English journey today, then again tomorrow, then again next week. Each time improve a little, add one phrase, correct one mistake, speak smoother. This repetition builds comfort. Fluency is often familiarity. You are fluent in topics you have practiced many times. If you never talk about your work in English, you will struggle to talk about work. If you never talk about your emotions in English, you will struggle to express feelings. If you never talk about your goals in English, you will struggle to explain your dreams. Practice the topics you actually need. Create your personal speaking map. Choose 10 topics from your life. My daily routine, my family, my work, my studies, my goals, my English problem, my confidence, my favorite things, my future plans, and my opinion about learning. Practice these topics again and again. When these become easy, your general speaking confidence will rise because you will have a strong base. You do not need to speak about the whole world at first. Speak about your world. Your world is enough to begin. When you can speak about your world, you can expand to bigger topics. This is how natural growth works. First personal, then general. First simple, then deeper. First slow, then faster. First imperfect, then clearer. Another powerful training is the 1-minute rule. Choose any topic and speak for 1 minute without stopping. Do not worry about perfect grammar. Your only goal is to continue. If you forget, say, "Let me think." If you make a mistake, continue. If your sentence is simple, continue. This exercise builds flow, and flow is the opposite of freezing. After 1 minute becomes easy, move to 2 minutes, then 3, then 5. Over time, you will notice that your brain learns to keep producing English. It becomes less afraid of silence. It learns to search while speaking. It learns to continue even with small gaps. This is real speaking strength. You can also use picture description. Look at any image and describe it in English. I can see a room, there is a table, a person is sitting, maybe he is studying, the room looks quiet. This trains observation and quick sentence creation. It is simple but powerful because it connects visual information directly to English without translation. Another method is future speaking. Talk about what you will do tomorrow. Tomorrow, I will wake up early. I will practice English. I will work on my confidence. I will speak for 10 minutes. This trains future patterns and plans. Another method is past speaking. Yesterday, I practiced English. I felt nervous. I made mistakes, but I continued. This trains past tense with real life. The hidden speaking muscle becomes balanced when you practice past, present, future, opinions, feelings, and explanations. Do not only repeat random sentences, build a complete speaking life. Speak about what happened, what is happening, what will happen, what you think, what you feel, and why something matters. These are the main roads of communication. Your mouth also needs pronunciation muscle. Pronunciation is not only knowing how a word sounds, it is training your mouth to produce it comfortably. Some English sounds may not exist in your native language, so your mouth needs repetition. Do not feel ashamed if a sound is difficult. It is physical training. Repeat slowly, listen carefully, practice daily. Clear pronunciation grows through patience, but do not let pronunciation perfection stop your speaking. Work on clarity, not perfection. Speak clearly enough to be understood, then improve gradually. If you wait until every sound is perfect, you will delay fluency. Speak now, improve as you go. This is the balanced path. Breathing also matters. Fear makes breathing shallow, and shallow breathing makes speaking harder. Before speaking practice, take a calm breath. Speak slowly at first. Pause naturally. Do not rush because rushing creates more mistakes and more panic. A calm speaker sounds more confident even with simple English. Speed can come later, calmness first. Many learners speak too quietly because they feel ashamed, but your voice needs strength. Practice speaking with enough volume, not shouting but clear and audible. When you hear your own voice speaking English with strength, your brain receives a new message: I am allowed to speak. This message is powerful. Recording your voice may feel uncomfortable, but it is one of the best tools. At first, you may dislike your voice. Many people do, but do not judge too harshly. Listen like a coach, not like an enemy. Notice one thing to improve. Maybe pronunciation, maybe speed, maybe pauses, maybe grammar. Then practice again. Your recording is not there to shame you. It is there to show progress. Keep old recordings. After 1 month, listen again. You may hear improvement you did not feel day by day. Progress is often slow in the moment but clear over time. When you hear your old voice and compare it with your new voice, confidence grows because now you have evidence. Evidence is important because motivation comes and goes. Some days you will feel excited, some days you will feel tired, some days you will think nothing is changing. Evidence keeps you moving. A notebook of spoken topics, voice recordings, daily check marks, and repeated phrases can remind you that you are not standing still. The speaking muscle grows through identity, routine, repetition, and courage. Identity says, I am becoming a speaker. Routine says, I practice daily. Repetition says, I strengthen the pathway. Courage says, I speak even when it is imperfect. When these four come together, English begins to move. Do not compare your speaking journey to someone else's speed. Some learners have more exposure, more confidence, more speaking partners, or more time. Your responsibility is not to copy their timeline. Your responsibility is to train your own voice consistently. Comparison steals energy that should be used for practice. Celebrate small wins. If you speak one sentence faster than before, that is a win. If you record your voice even though you feel shy, that is a win. If you make a mistake and continue, that is a win. If you answer without translating for 1 second, that is a win. These wins may look small, but they are the bricks of confidence. The learner who respects small wins stays longer in the journey. The learner who only wants big miracles becomes disappointed quickly. Fluency is not usually one sudden event, it is a series of small openings. A word comes faster, a sentence feels easier, a conversation feels less scary. A mistake hurts less, a thought appears directly in English. These small openings become a breakthrough. Your hidden speaking muscle does not need punishment. It needs training. It does not need shame. It needs repetition. It does not need perfection. It needs permission. It does not need endless waiting. It needs daily use. When you understand this, you stop blaming yourself and start building yourself. From today, stop saying, "I need to learn more before I speak." Start saying, "I need to speak more with what I already know." This does not mean you stop learning. It means you stop separating learning from speaking. Learn a little, speak it. Hear a phrase, use it. Study a pattern, repeat it, make English active quickly. The speaking muscle becomes strong when English stops being only something you consume and becomes something you produce. Produce simple English, produce imperfect English, produce daily English, produce honest English, produce your own sentences. The more you produce, the more your brain learns that English belongs to you. One day, after enough practice, you will notice something beautiful. A sentence will come out before you translate. A response will appear before fear stops it. A word will arrive at the right moment. Your mouth will move with more confidence. Your brain will not panic as quickly. You will still make mistakes, but you will not feel trapped by them. This is the speaking muscle becoming alive. That moment is not luck. It is the result of all the small times you practiced when no one was watching. It is the result of repeating simple sentences when they felt boring. It is the result of speaking alone when it felt strange. It is the result of recording your voice when it felt uncomfortable. It is the result of choosing action over shame. The hidden speaking muscle is the bridge between the English you understand and the English you can use. Without this muscle, your English stays trapped in your mind. With this muscle, your English begins to travel from thought to voice. This is how the barrier breaks, not by wishing, not by waiting, not by collecting more knowledge forever, but by training the pathway that releases English into real speech. So build this muscle every day. Speak when it feels small. Speak when it feels imperfect. Speak when your accent is not perfect. Speak when your grammar is still growing. Speak when your confidence is still young. Speak because speaking is the practice that creates the speaker. Speak because your voice cannot become strong while it remains hidden. Speak because the English inside you is tired of being locked away. The barrier between understanding and speaking will not break by silence. It will break by sound. It will break by repetition. It will break by daily courage. It will break when you finally stop treating speaking as the reward at the end of learning and start treating speaking as the road that creates learning. Your voice is not waiting for perfect English. Your voice is waiting for permission to practice, to grow, to stumble, to rise, and to become fluent through use. This is the truth of Chapter 5. The English you want is not only in the next book, the next course, the next grammar rule, or the next vocabulary list. It is also in your own mouth, waiting to be trained. The hidden speaking muscle is already inside you, but it will remain weak if you never use it. Train it daily, and the same English that once felt trapped, slow, and silent will begin to move with strength, rhythm, confidence, and life. Chapter 6. How to break the English barrier step by step. The English barrier does not break in one magical moment, and it does not disappear only because you feel motivated for one day. It breaks when you train your brain with the right steps again and again until English stops feeling like a heavy subject and starts becoming a natural part of your thinking, your voice, and your daily life. Many learners want one secret trick that will suddenly make them fluent, but real fluency is not built by one trick. It is built by a system, because if your problem is fear, translation, hesitation, grammar pressure, and weak speaking response, then you cannot fix it with only vocabulary or only listening or only grammar. You need a complete speaking system that trains your mind, your mouth, your confidence, and your habits together. The first step is to stop waiting for readiness, because readiness is one of the biggest traps in English learning. Learners say, I will speak when I know more words. I will speak when my grammar becomes better. I will speak when my pronunciation improves. And I will speak when I feel confident. But the truth is that speaking is the road to confidence, not the reward after confidence. If you wait until you feel fully ready, you may wait for years because the brain becomes ready by doing the thing it is afraid of doing. You must begin with the English you already have, not the English you wish you had, not the English you think you should have, not the perfect English you imagine in your mind. Start with the simple English that is already inside you, because simple English used daily is more powerful than advanced English that never comes out of your mouth. A sentence like, I want to speak better may look small, but when you speak it with intention, it becomes a crack in the wall. The second step is to build a daily speaking ritual, because random practice creates random results, but daily ritual creates identity. If you speak English only when you feel motivated, your progress will be weak, because motivation changes every day. Some days you will feel excited, and some days you will feel tired, lazy, nervous, or disappointed. But a ritual does not depend on mood. A ritual tells your brain, this is who I am now. I am a person who speaks English every day. Your ritual does not need to be long in the beginning. 10 minutes of real speaking every day can be more powerful than 2 hours of silent study once a week. In those 10 minutes, speak out loud, answer questions, describe your day, repeat useful patterns, and record your voice. Do not make the routine so difficult that you quit after 3 days. Make it simple enough to continue and strong enough to change you. The third step is to train direct English thinking. This does not mean you must think every deep thought in English immediately. It means you begin connecting small parts of your life directly to English without translation. When you drink water, think, I am drinking water. When you feel tired, say, I feel tired. When you are busy, say, I am busy today. When you are learning, say, I am training my English. These small direct connections teach your brain that English does not always need to pass through your native language first. Do not laugh at simple sentences, because simple sentences are the foundation of natural fluency. A fluent speaker is not someone who only uses difficult words. A fluent speaker is someone who can express meaning easily. If your brain cannot quickly say simple things, it will not suddenly become natural with difficult things. Build the foundation first. Make daily life English automatic first. Then your fluency will have something strong to stand on. The fourth step is to replace translation with meaning. When you want to speak, do not ask, what is the exact English translation of this sentence? Ask, what is the simple meaning I want to express? This one question changes everything. Translation makes your brain search for exact words. Meaning makes your brain communicate. Translation creates pressure. Meaning creates freedom. Translation makes you slow. Meaning helps you speak with the words you already have. For example, if you cannot say a complicated sentence, make it simple. If you want to say, I am unable to express myself properly in public situations because nervousness affects my thinking, simply say, I feel nervous when I speak in public, so I cannot express myself clearly. This is good English. This is communication. This is how fluent people survive real conversations. They choose clarity over complexity. The fifth step is to practice sentence patterns, not only single words. Many learners memorize vocabulary, but when they speak, those words do not come out because they have never practiced them inside real sentences. A word alone is weak. A word inside a sentence becomes useful. A word used in your own life becomes active. If you learn the word confidence, do not only memorize it, say, I want confidence. My confidence is growing. I lose confidence when I translate. Speaking daily gives me confidence. Patterns are the secret roads of fluency. When you know patterns like, I want to, I need to, I am trying to, the problem is, I feel like, in my opinion, and what I mean is, your brain does not need to build every sentence from zero. You already have a road, and you only need to place your idea on that road. This is why pattern practice is more powerful than random vocabulary memorization. The sixth step is to speak before perfection arrives. This is difficult, but it is necessary. Your brain wants perfect sentences before it allows you to speak, but fluency grows when you allow imperfect sentences to move. If you keep waiting for perfection, your English will stay trapped. If you speak imperfectly, your English can be corrected, strengthened, and improved. A wrong sentence spoken today can become a better sentence tomorrow, but a sentence never spoken remains locked forever. You must become comfortable with being a learner in motion. This means you are allowed to pause, you are allowed to restart, you are allowed to say something simply, you are allowed to forget a word, you are allowed to correct yourself, you are allowed to speak with an accent. You are allowed to grow slowly. The goal is not to look perfect. The goal is to keep moving until English becomes natural. The 7th step is to train recovery phrases. Because real speaking is not perfect and you need tools for moments when your mind gets stuck. Learn phrases like, let me say that again. What I mean is, I forgot the word but. In simple words, give me a second and the idea is. These phrases protect your flow. They stop fear from taking control when one word disappears. They teach your brain that getting stuck is not the end of speaking. A learner without recovery phrases panics when a sentence breaks. A learner with recovery phrases continues. This is a huge difference. Fluency is not the ability to never get stuck. Fluency is the ability to continue when you get stuck. Even strong speakers pause, repair, explain, and continue. You do not need perfect speech, you need flexible speech. The 8th step is to use the 1-minute speaking method. Choose one topic and speak for 1 minute without stopping. The topic can be your day, your English journey, your goals, your fear, your routine, your future, your favorite book, your work, or your dream. Do not stop to correct every mistake. Do not translate every sentence. Do not judge your voice while speaking. Your only goal is to keep English moving for 1 minute. At first, 1 minute may feel long, your mind may become blank, your sentences may repeat, your grammar may break. That is fine. The purpose is not to sound perfect. The purpose is to teach your brain to stay inside English without escaping into silence. After some days, 1 minute becomes easier, then 2 minutes, then 3. Slowly, your speaking muscle becomes stronger and your fear becomes weaker. The 9th step is to record your voice because recording gives you proof. Many learners avoid recording because they do not like hearing themselves, but this discomfort is part of the training. When you record your English, you begin to notice your real problems. Maybe you speak too slowly. Maybe you pause too much. Maybe you repeat the same words. Maybe your pronunciation needs work. This is not shame. This is information. Listen to your recording like a coach, not like an enemy. Do not say my English is terrible. Say what is one thing I can improve. Choose only 1 or 2 improvements, then practice again. If you try to fix everything at once, you will feel overwhelmed. If you fix one thing at a time, you will grow steadily. Recording is not punishment. Recording is a mirror, and a mirror helps you see what practice must change. The 10th step is to create your English speaking identity. This step is deeper than technique. If you keep seeing yourself as a person who cannot speak English, your brain will keep acting according to that identity. You must begin saying, I am training my English voice. I am becoming a confident English speaker. I can speak simple English today. My fluency is growing. These sentences are not empty motivation, they are mental instructions. Your identity controls your habits. If you believe you are hopeless, you will avoid practice. If you believe you are becoming a speaker, you will take small actions that match that belief. You do not need to pretend you are perfect, you only need to believe that you are in training. A person in training is allowed to struggle. A person in training is allowed to make mistakes. A person in training is allowed to improve. The 11th step is to reduce fear by small exposure. Do not jump directly into the most frightening conversation if you are not ready. Start small. Speak alone. Then record yourself. Then speak with one trusted person. Then join a small practice group. Then try short, real conversations. This step-by-step exposure teaches your brain that English speaking is safe. Fear becomes weaker when your brain survives the thing it was afraid of. But do not stay forever in private practice. Private practice builds strength, but public use builds courage. At some point, you must use English with real people, even if it is only one short sentence. Say hello, ask a question, give a short answer, join a simple conversation. Every real use of English tells your brain, I can do this outside my room too. The 12th step is to turn listening into speaking fuel. When you listen to English, do not only consume it, collect useful phrases, repeat them, use them in your own sentences. If you hear the biggest problem is, say the biggest problem is translation. If you hear "I realize that," say "I realize that I need more speaking practice." If you hear "I used to," say "I used to feel afraid of English." This turns passive listening into active speaking. Most learners listen for understanding only, but strong learners listen for usage. They ask, "What can I use from this?" This question changes listening into training. Every video, podcast, audiobook, or conversation becomes a source of useful speaking patterns. You are not just hearing English. You are collecting tools for your own voice. The 13th step is to practice the topics you actually need. Many learners practice random English and then struggle in real situations because they never trained the topics that matter in their lives. If you need English for work, practice work conversations. If you need English for interviews, practice interview answers. If you need English for daily communication, practice daily topics. If you need English for confidence, practice expressing feelings, opinions, and personal stories. Your fluency becomes stronger in the topics you repeat. If you speak about your English journey every day, that topic becomes easier. If you speak about your work every day, work English becomes easier. If you speak about your goals every day, goal-related English becomes easier. Fluency is not only general, it is built topic by topic, pattern by pattern, situation by situation. The 14th step is to stop overloading your brain. Many learners try to learn too much at once and then they quit because everything feels heavy. They want to improve grammar, vocabulary, pronunciation, listening, speaking, accent, confidence, and writing all at the same time. But a tired brain does not become fluent faster. A focused brain becomes fluent faster. Choose one main focus for a short period and train it deeply. For 1 week, focus on speaking without translation. Another week, focus on daily life sentences. Another week, focus on questions and answers. Another week, focus on pronunciation clarity. Another week, focus on 1-minute speaking. This focused practice creates visible improvement. When your mind knows what to train, your energy becomes stronger. The 15th step is to measure action, not feelings. Some days you will feel fluent, some days you will feel stuck. Feelings change. Do not judge your progress only by feelings. Judge your progress by actions. Did you speak today? Did you record today? Did you practice patterns today? Did you answer questions today? Did you use English even for 5 minutes? These actions matter more than temporary emotions. Progress often happens quietly before it becomes visible. You may practice for days and feel nothing is changing, but inside your brain, pathways are forming. Sentences are becoming familiar. Fear is reducing slowly. Your mouth is learning movement. Your ears are learning your voice. Then one day you speak a sentence faster than before and you realize the training was working even when you could not feel it. The 16th step is to build patience without becoming lazy. Patience does not mean doing nothing and waiting for fluency to arrive. Patience means practicing daily without demanding instant perfection. Lazy patience says, "One day I will speak." Strong patience says, "Every day I will train until speaking becomes natural." You need strong patience, calm, consistent, active patience. The 17th step is to stop restarting from zero. Many learners quit for a few days, then feel guilty, then restart with a new method, then quit again, then search for another secret. This cycle keeps them stuck. If you miss one day, do not destroy the whole journey. Return the next day. Fluency is not built by perfect routines. It is built by returning again and again. Do not make one missed practice session an excuse to disappear for a month. If you stop, start again. If you fail, return. If you feel tired, do a smaller practice. If you cannot speak for 10 minutes, speak for 2. If you cannot record a long answer, record 1 sentence. Keep the identity alive. A small practice is better than no practice. Returning is part of mastery. The 18th step is to make English emotionally safe. If every practice session ends with self-hate, your brain will avoid English. If every mistake becomes proof that you are stupid, your fear will grow. Speak to yourself with respect. Correct yourself calmly. Celebrate small progress. Remind yourself that learning a language is not easy and struggling does not mean failing. You are not a machine. You are a human being training a new communication system. Some days will be smooth, some days will be difficult, some sentences will come, some sentences will disappear. This is normal. Do not turn normal struggle into personal shame. Shame closes the mind, respect opens it. The 19th step is to use English as a tool, not only a subject. Talk to yourself in English while planning your day. Use English to write small notes. Use English to describe your emotions. Use English to explain what you learned. Use English to ask questions. Use English to think about your goals. The more English becomes useful in your real life, the less it feels like a school subject. A language becomes alive when it serves your life. If English only exists in side lessons, it will feel distant. If English enters your routine, your thoughts, your phone notes, your plans, your voice, and your small daily actions, it becomes closer. Fluency grows when English stops being something you visit and becomes something you live with. The 20th step is to keep your goal clear. Why do you want to break the English barrier? Do you want a better job? Do you want to speak with confidence? Do you want to travel? Do you want to study abroad? Do you want to create content? Do you want to feel proud of yourself? Do you want to stop feeling small in English conversations? Your reason matters because strong reasons create strong discipline. When practice feels boring, remember your reason. When fear returns, remember your reason. When translation feels easier, remember your reason. When you want to quit, remember your reason. A learner with a strong reason can survive difficult days because they know English is not only a language, it is a door to a larger life. Breaking the English barrier is not about becoming someone else. It is about releasing the voice that has been trapped inside you. You are not trying to erase your personality. You are trying to express it in English. You are not trying to become perfect. You are trying to become free enough to communicate. You are not trying to impress everyone. You are trying to stop hiding from your own potential. The steps are simple, but they are not weak. Start before you feel ready. Speak with the English you have. Build a daily ritual. Think directly in simple English. Replace translation with meaning. Practice patterns. Speak before perfection. Learn recovery phrases. Use 1-minute speaking. Record your voice. Build your speaking identity. Reduce fear through small exposure. Turn listening into speaking fuel. Practice useful topics. Focus your training. Measure action. Return after mistakes. Make English emotionally safe. Use English in real life. Keep your reason strong. If you follow these steps not for one day, not only when you feel inspired, but consistently, your English will begin to change. At first, the change may be small. One sentence will come faster. One word will appear without translation. One recording will sound better. One conversation will feel less scary. One mistake will hurt less. These are signs that the wall is cracking. Do not ignore small signs. Small signs are the beginning of transformation. A wall does not always fall at once. Sometimes it cracks slowly, piece by piece, until one day it can no longer stand. Your English barrier is the same. Every spoken sentence is pressure against the wall. Every daily practice is pressure against the wall. Every moment of courage is pressure against the wall. Keep pressing. One day you will notice that English no longer feels like a locked room. You will still be learning, but you will not feel trapped. You will still make mistakes, but you will not feel destroyed. You will still need practice, but you will no longer be silent. You will speak, correct, continue, improve, and grow. That is what breaking the English barrier truly means. The barrier breaks when English becomes action. The barrier breaks when your voice becomes stronger than your fear. The barrier breaks when meaning becomes more important than perfection. The barrier breaks when you stop waiting and start training. The barrier breaks when you finally understand that fluency is not hidden somewhere far away. It is built every day through small, brave, repeated use. So begin today, not tomorrow, not after another course, not after perfect grammar, not after confidence magically appears. Begin with one sentence, then another, then another. Let your voice hear English. Let your brain feel English. Let your mouth move with English. Let your confidence grow from action. Step by step, sentence by sentence, day by day, the wall that once kept your English trapped will begin to break. Chapter 7. From Stuck English to Natural English Confidence. The final stage of breaking the English barrier begins when you stop seeing English as something outside you and start seeing it as a voice you are slowly building inside yourself, because the learner who says, "English is difficult, English is scary, English is not for me," will always move differently from the learner who says, "English is a skill, English can be trained, and my voice can become stronger every day." Natural English confidence does not arrive suddenly like lightning. It grows quietly through repeated proof. Every time you speak one sentence, you give your brain proof. Every time you continue after a mistake, you give your brain proof. Every time you answer without translating every word, you give your brain proof. Every time you practice, even when your voice feels weak, you give your brain proof that English is not a danger, English is not a punishment, and English is not a wall that can never be crossed. This is how stuck English becomes moving English. It does not move because you waited for a perfect day. It moves because you trained it while it was still imperfect. It moves because you stopped hiding behind silent learning. It moves because you gave your mouth permission to practice. It moves because you decided that your future voice is more important than your temporary embarrassment. Many learners think confidence means speaking without fear, but real confidence means speaking even when a little fear is still present. Real confidence means you may feel nervous, but you do not run away. You may pause, but you continue. You may forget a word, but you explain another way. You may make a mistake, but you do not destroy yourself for it. You may speak simply, but you speak with honesty and courage. The English barrier breaks when you stop needing perfect confidence before action. You begin with small action, and confidence follows slowly. You speak one sentence, then 2 sentences, then 1 minute, then 3 minutes, then one conversation, then another conversation. At first, your voice may shake. Later, it becomes calmer. At first, your mind may translate. Later, English begins to come directly. At first, mistakes may feel painful. Later, they become normal steps in the journey. This transformation is not only about language, it is about identity. You are not only learning English, you are becoming a person who no longer hides when it is time to speak. You are becoming someone who can express thoughts, explain ideas, ask questions, share opinions, and connect with people beyond the limits of fear. You are becoming someone who does not let one imperfect sentence define their intelligence, their value, or their future. Natural confidence begins when English becomes familiar. The more familiar English feels, the less fear it creates. A word you use daily becomes familiar. A sentence pattern you repeat often becomes familiar. A topic you speak about many times becomes familiar. Your own English voice becomes familiar when you hear it again and again. Familiarity reduces fear because the brain stops treating English like a strange emergency and starts treating it like a normal part of life. This is why daily practice matters so much. You are not only practicing words, you are teaching your nervous system that English is safe. You are teaching your mouth that English sounds can move naturally. You are teaching your ears that your accent is not something to hate, but something to improve with patience. You are teaching your mind that mistakes do not destroy you. You are teaching your identity that you are becoming a speaker. There will come a time when you notice small changes. You will answer faster than before. You will speak one sentence without translating. You will understand a question and respond naturally. You will make a mistake and smile instead of panic. You will record your voice and hear improvement. You will speak with someone and realize that the conversation did not destroy you. These moments may look small, but they are golden signs that the wall is losing strength. Do not ignore these small victories. Many learners only celebrate big results, but big results are made from small victories repeated for a long time. One direct sentence is a victory. One brave answer is a victory. 1 minute of speaking is a victory. One correction without shame is a victory. One day of practice when you did not feel motivated is a victory. These victories are not small in the brain, they are evidence, and evidence builds belief. The old version of you may have believed, "I cannot speak English." The new version of you must begin collecting evidence for a different belief. I can speak, and I am improving. You do not need to lie to yourself, you only need to recognize movement. Maybe you are not fluent yet, but you are not silent like before. Maybe you still translate sometimes, but not every sentence. Maybe your grammar is not perfect, but your courage is stronger. Maybe your accent needs work, but your voice is active. This is progress. Natural English confidence also grows when you stop comparing your beginning with someone else's result. You do not know how many hours they practiced. You do not know how many mistakes they made privately. You do not know how long they struggled before they became confident. When you compare your hidden struggle with someone's polished speaking, you become unfair to yourself. Your job is not to become them. Your job is to become a stronger version of yourself. Every learner has a different road. Some learners need more pronunciation practice. Some need more listening. Some need more speaking courage. Some need to break translation. Some need grammar patterns. Some need emotional safety. Your journey must be honest. Do not copy another person blindly. Find your barrier, train it directly, and keep moving. If fear is your barrier, practice small speaking exposure every day. If translation is your barrier, practice direct thinking with simple sentences. If grammar pressure is your barrier, practice patterns instead of overthinking rules. If vocabulary is your barrier, activate words through personal sentences. If pronunciation is your barrier, practice clear sounds out loud. If confidence is your barrier, collect small speaking wins daily. The right solution begins when you identify the real wall. From stuck English to natural confidence, the path is not complicated, but it requires consistency. You must speak when you feel ready and when you do not. You must practice when it feels exciting and when it feels boring. You must continue after good days and after bad days. You must return after missing practice. You must protect your progress from shame, laziness, comparison, and perfectionism. Perfectionism will tell you, do not speak until it is correct. Fear will tell you, do not speak because people will judge you. Laziness will tell you, practice tomorrow. Comparison will tell you, you are too far behind. But your future voice must answer louder. I will speak today with the English I have, and I will improve through use. This is the mindset of a real speaker. A real speaker does not wait for perfect conditions. A real speaker uses the moment. A real speaker accepts correction. A real speaker keeps growing. A real speaker understands that fluency is not a single finish line. It is a living ability that becomes stronger through continued use. Your English will become natural when you stop treating it like a performance and start treating it like communication. You do not need to impress everyone, you need to express meaning. You do not need to sound like someone else. You need to become clear enough for people to understand you. You do not need to use difficult words to prove your level. You need to speak with honesty, rhythm, and confidence. When English becomes communication, pressure decreases. You begin to focus on the message instead of your image. You begin to ask, what do I want to say, instead of how perfect do I sound? You begin to care more about connection than perfection. This shift is powerful because natural speaking cannot grow in a mind that is obsessed with looking flawless. One of the most powerful signs of confidence is the ability to simplify. If your mind becomes stuck, simplify. If your sentence becomes too long, break it. If you forget a word, describe it. If grammar becomes confusing, use a clearer structure. If fear becomes loud, speak one small sentence anyway. Simplicity is not weakness. Simplicity is control. A speaker who can simplify can survive any conversation. Natural English confidence is not built by pretending you know everything. It is built by knowing how to continue when you do not know everything. You can say, I am not sure how to explain it, but I will try. You can say, let me say it simply. You can say, I do not know the exact word, but I mean. These phrases give you power because they keep your voice alive when perfection disappears. As your confidence grows, you must also grow your English environment. Surround your mind with English that supports speaking. Listen to English every day. Repeat useful phrases. Speak after short clips. Read out loud. Write small reflections. Talk about your life in English. Use English in your phone notes. Follow lessons that make you speak, not only watch. Your environment should remind your brain that English is not a rare event, it is part of your daily identity. You do not need to live in an English-speaking country to begin building an English-speaking mind. You can create English moments around you. You can name objects in English. You can think simple thoughts in English. You can speak to yourself in English. You can record your voice in English. You can answer questions in English. You can make your room, your phone, your routine, and your mind into a training space. The learner who waits for the perfect environment may wait forever. The learner who creates small English moments every day begins changing immediately. Your environment matters, but your decision matters more. Even 5 minutes of honest speaking practice can turn an ordinary day into a fluency building day. There will still be difficult moments. Some days your English will feel heavy again. Some days translation will return. Some days fear will rise. Some days you will feel like you are not improving. Do not panic. This is part of the journey. Progress is not a straight line. The wall does not break evenly. Some days it cracks. Some days it feels strong again. But if you keep practicing, the direction changes over time. You must not judge your whole journey by one bad speaking day. One bad day does not erase months of growth. One difficult conversation does not mean your English is broken. One mistake does not mean you are back to zero. Growth is bigger than one moment. Keep your vision wider than your fear. The real test is not whether you never feel stuck again. The real test is whether you continue when stuck feelings return. This is where strong learners are created. They do not quit every time English feels hard. They do not restart from zero every time they make mistakes. They do not disappear every time motivation drops. They return. Again and again, they return to the practice. Returning is a golden skill. If you miss one day, return the next day. If you feel embarrassed, return with courage. If you forget words, return to patterns. If you lose confidence, return to simple sentences. If you compare yourself, return to your own progress. If you feel tired, return with a smaller practice. Returning protects your journey from being destroyed by temporary emotions. Your natural confidence will also grow when you begin using English to express real things, not only practice exercises. Talk about what you believe, talk about what you want, talk about what you fear, talk about your plans, talk about your mistakes, talk about your dreams. English becomes powerful when it carries your real life, because then the language is not only a subject, it becomes your voice. When you can say, "I feel nervous, but I am improving," English becomes emotional. When you can say, "I want a better future," English becomes personal. When you can say, "I made a mistake, but I continued," English becomes strength. When you can say, "I am proud of my progress," English becomes identity. This is natural confidence, when English starts carrying who you are. Do not make English only about exams, rules, and lessons. Make it about life. Use English to describe the rain, your morning, your work, your sadness, your happiness, your goals, your opinions, your gratitude, your struggle, and your hope. A language becomes fluent when it becomes connected to living. The barrier that once stood between understanding and speaking begins to fall when English moves from your notebook to your mouth, from your lessons to your routine, from your fear to your courage, and from your silent mind to your spoken identity. This is the true transformation. Not just knowing more English, but becoming someone who uses English. At the end of this journey, you may still be learning, but you will no longer be the same learner. You will not be waiting for permission to speak. You will not be hiding behind translation. You will not be worshiping perfection. You will not be calling yourself weak because of mistakes. You will understand that speaking is a skill, confidence is trained, and fluency is built through repeated use. The wall was never stronger than you. It only looked strong because you were trying to break it with silent study alone. Now you know the truth. You break it with direct practice. You break it with spoken sentences. You break it with simple patterns. You break it with courage. You break it with daily action. You break it by choosing communication over perfection again and again. From this moment forward, do not ask only, "How much English do I know?" Ask, "How much English do I use?" Do not ask only, "How many words did I learn?" Ask, "How many sentences did I speak?" Do not ask only, "How perfect is my grammar?" Ask, "Did I communicate my meaning?" These questions will guide you toward real fluency. Your future English speaker is not created in silence. Your future English speaker is created every time you open your mouth and try again. Every sentence is training, every mistake is information, every practice is progress, every brave moment is a crack in the barrier. And if you keep going, the day will come when English no longer feels like a locked door. It will feel like a voice you have earned through patience, courage, and daily action. So walk forward with this truth. Your English is not stuck forever. Your voice is not weak forever. Your confidence is not lost forever. The barrier can break, and it breaks when you stop waiting, stop hiding, stop translating every thought, stop fearing every mistake, and start speaking with the English you have today while building the English you want tomorrow. This is how you move from stuck English to natural English confidence. Not by magic, not by luck, not by talent alone, but by training your mind, using your voice, simplifying your message, repeating useful patterns, surviving mistakes, returning after difficult days, and believing that the English inside you deserves to come out. The wall may have been standing for years, but now you have the tools to break it. The silence may have lasted too long, but now your voice has a path. The fear may still whisper, but now your courage can answer. And the English that once felt trapped inside your mind can finally begin to move into the world through your own confident voice. Your English was never truly broken. It was blocked. It was blocked by fear, blocked by translation, blocked by perfection, blocked by silent learning, blocked by years of believing that you needed to become perfect before you had permission to speak. But now you know the truth. The English inside you was not missing. It was waiting for the right training, the right courage, and the right moment to finally come out. You do not need to hate your mistakes anymore because mistakes are not the enemy of fluency, silence is. You do not need to wait for perfect grammar before you begin because grammar becomes stronger when it is used. You do not need to translate every thought before speaking because English can become direct when you train it daily. You do not need to hide your voice until confidence arrives because confidence grows when your voice is used again and again. The barrier that kept you stuck was not built in one day and it will not break in one day, but every sentence you speak is a crack in that wall. Every small practice is a step toward freedom. Every time you speak, even with fear, you are teaching your brain that English is safe. Every time you continue after a mistake, you are proving that your voice is stronger than your hesitation. So from today, do not say, "I cannot speak English." Say, "I am training my English voice." Do not say, "My English is stuck." Say, "My English is becoming active." Do not say, "I am afraid of mistakes." Say, "Mistakes are helping me grow." Do not say, "One day I will speak." Say, "Today I will speak one sentence, and tomorrow I will speak more." If this book spoke to your heart, comment, "I will break the barrier" below. Because your English journey changes the moment you stop hiding and start declaring that your voice matters. Subscribe to English Mindset Academy for more powerful books that train your mind, your confidence, and your fluency from the inside. The wall may have been standing for years, but it is not stronger than daily courage. The fear may still whisper, but it is not stronger than repeated practice. The hesitation may still appear, but it is not stronger than the voice you are building. Your English can move, your confidence can grow. Your speaking can become natural. This was Break the English Barrier, the hidden reason your English is still stuck, published by English Mindset Academy.